Today, the format is going to be like this because we're kind of doing a somewhat we're trying a new format. There's not that much time, and we're going to try to give you as much value as possible. So for those of you who are on both platforms, just mute one, but just know that those whose portfolios were being reviewed, we're going to invite you up on stage on Discord so you can actually talk with us, and those people will be able to hear you on YouTube as well, okay? But the format of today is this, and Tonton, this is for recontextualizing YouTube because what we just talked about 30 minutes ago is semi-changed. So we're going to go through the links that you guys gave us in our Discord channel on January 13th. Okay, we're going to share screen on YouTube, and we're just going to go, we are going to give you first, before we go through any portfolios, we are going to give you concepts that are needed for portfolios in general. Jaslin, he is the creative director at Apple, and he's going to be giving you guys like what should be in a portfolio, just so that everybody across whoever is listening understands the concepts and what's important. And on top of that, we are going to go and try to find some of the top of the line portfolios that were submitted so that they reflect. We can show some of the portfolios that reflect exactly the concepts we gave, and then after that, we will proceed into the individual portfolio reviews. Okay, so I just wanted to contextualize everybody, say hello to everybody again, and yeah, we're gonna have a good day. And so again, starting with what makes a good portfolio. What are some of those good portfolios? What do they look like? What portfolios have some of those concepts we talked about in them? And then we'll get into the portfolio reviews, and then that's really it. So, all right, so let's go ahead, and if you guys are on YouTube, I'm going to start sharing my screen, and Jaslin, I'm going to have to just like link you the ones that we're going to take a peek at first. But while I gather all that, if you could just introduce yourself, say hi to the audience, and I know they can't really see you, my friend, right now, which kind of sucks. But yeah, just give us a little bit of overview of who you are, and let's start talking about portfolios. I'm sorry.
10 years, and I was thinking about it recently, and I'm looking back, I'm like, I have a tendency to work for a company that start with A's a lot. So here we are. So currently I'm an associate creative director for Apple. I've worked for Amazon, and Brendan and we met back at Adobe. You see the A? It's like I wasn't making it up. So yeah, and like, you know, we've been like, you know, I've worked with Brendan before in multiple occasions, and you know, we're cousins actually. But I'm super excited to be here, and my goal today is trying to be as helpful and as can be, and everything I say is coming from a good place. I'm going to be constructive, but constructive can sometimes be like, it doesn't always have to be positive, right? But it's constructive. So I'm not here to just tell you that it looks great, but I'm here to also tell you, like, it looks good, but if there's room for improvement, then that's my goal for the day. So, but don't take anything I say personally. Like, you know, I'm not attacking you as a person. This is about the work, and hopefully to get you to improve. And something that I do every day on my work, and constantly trying to better myself. So now that we got the awkwardness out of the way, which is still kind of awkward since you can't see me, but
I know that kind of stinks.
But the next one, but I promise we'll get it right.
We'll get it right on the next one, next Friday.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, now that we know, yeah. But yeah, let's see if we can do this. I know this will be a little difficult, but if Tonton, just verbally, if you can explain like the 1, 2, 3 concept of what should be in a portfolio, and by the time you do that, I have a whole bunch of these portfolios pulled up on my screen, and I am going to try to pull up on my screen some of the ones that have those concepts in it, and we'll just man, Tonton, you're gonna have to kind of be on YouTube too, so you can kind of see what's really happening here. And I apologize, guys. This is kind of like ad hoc. Of course, me and Tonton have pretty similar experiences, so you're in good hands either way. But yeah, we did not know that there's going to be so many technical hiccups today.
Yeah, so, I mean, I would say first thing, be more organized than Brendan.
Yes,
that's just simple. Do not go to a job interview and just be like, well, like, you know. So you see, this is working out. Like, you know, learning curve. Don't be like us. Be better. But that being said, I think there are like a few things, like, you know, in coming from like somebody that, like, you know, I have portfolio come across my desk, like I have to review them, or doing things like this, or giving feedback. Like, there are just a few things I think some of them might be obvious to you, some of them might not be, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say them. If they are obvious, you can feel free to roll your eyes. But oh man, my buddy just texts me while I'm trying to do this, sending me memes. That's not fun, man. Don't do that to me. All right, so that said, I think one of the first thing I would say, like, you know, again, it might sound obvious, but choose your best work. And what I mean by that, don't put any work on your portfolio that if you don't love it, don't put it on your portfolio. Don't go to the interview and be like, well, this one I don't like, you know. Don't do that. If it's in your portfolio, it's because you're proud of it and it's the best thing that you've done, and it's in there. It is better to just have like one or two really awesome work than it is to have 20 mediocre work on your portfolio. So tip 1, choose your best work. 2, organize your work. I know, and it might sound somewhat ironic coming from us, being able that we didn't even able to organize this thing properly, but it is important to like, this one's on Brendan, by the way, not me. I'm just a guest here. But organize your work. It is like, so in the important thing about that is, like, as we, like, speaking from somebody that, like, you know, from a, like, you know, thing comes across your portfolio, like your desk, you're reviewing a lot of things. Like, the last thing you want to do is, like, when you go into the work, like, every page is like has a different thing and it's not organized. You can't find where things are. So you really have like 3 seconds to make an impression, and if we can't even get to the work, you've already at a loss. And 3, use high quality images. And I would say that this might just be a pet peeve of mine, but I know other people that have worked with that have the same thing. Like, low quality, blurry images. It's a reflection. It might not be, but it comes across as a reflection of you being not organized and just not a good designer. When you're trying to get a job in design, like, having like high quality like images just kind of comes with the territory. And you know, I think these 3 are pretty strong ones, and then we can kind of like hit the other ones as we kind of go to it. Like, these would be like the top 3 things that I look for. Like, is it organized? Is it your best work? And do you actually have good images? And nowadays, like, you know, there's no reason for you not to have high quality images. I mean, you can use Mid-Journey, but I mean, there's just so many tools out there, right? So there's no excuses. And then, you know, so these are like the 3 main things that I look for, but there are definitely other things, and we can kind of like, as we go to these sites, as Brendan's trying to organize as we live, we're doing it live. So let's do it. Which one should I start with, Brendan? Or are you not there yet?
So we're there. We're there yet. Or we're there now. So, guys, like I said, what we're going to do is, with what Tonton kind of just explained there, those concepts, I'm just pulling out some of the ones that I've looked at earlier that have some of those concepts in them. Okay, we're going to go through what those good concepts look like. And then as Tonton, you know, whether he has to go or not, then we'll go through individual, and we'll try to I can go through as many as possible. So as long as you guys are able to stay, the more value you guys are going to be able to get, because it's after an hour, Tonton has to go, but I'll go through each one and pull you guys in and out, so you guys can be on stage and we can kind of have a little bit of a dialogue. So Tonton, I'm going to send you some of these questions here. or not questions, excuse me, these live stream, or these links rather, sorry, my brain today. Okay. So I'm going to send you 5. And basically, as you're talking, I'm kind of driving live so people can actually see the visual side of things. Next time, you'll be able to drive, since we'll actually get you up here on YouTube. But I had thought that we would be able to live stream in the Discord, which is not how it's working out today. But thank you guys again for your patience. All right, I DM'd you the first 4 that we'll take a look at. We're going to start off with Yash Patel's website. I really liked it. I thought that I'm going to just full screen this here. I love the softness of the homepage, and I think the way that they displayed their work is really nice. But I'll let you talk to it, kind of parallel and pull in the concepts that you talk about, and I'll kind of like drive and go through things. Just mention what you're talking about. We'll tackle this together.
You're bouncing all over the place with the links. I don't know which one you're sharing, but
first one.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool.
In your DMs.
Which one? YouTube or Discord?
Discord.
This is so unorganized, Brendan.
It's organized.
I apologize.
It's in your Discord DMs.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, this is gonna be hard because usually, when I go to this, I like to be the one driving and clicking to things. Now I'm gonna be relying on Brendan to click on things. So just roll with us, and we promise next week we'll be better. Well, I'll be better. I don't know about Brendan. So I can only speak for myself. Okay, so I clicked on the first one, calm. Like if you scroll down and click on one of the, we're just gonna go into the actual case studies.
Got it.
So first of all, I would say I really love that the color palettes like that you have going on, the softness of it's cool. And again, these are all subjective, so it didn't matter if I didn't like it. The most important part is that I want to get to see the work, and these are the things that are important. But that said, I still really do like that the colors, and I like what you did with that homepage, the way you was this is really hard when you're not driving, because now I want you to go back.
I know.
But just stay. Okay, can you stop scrolling? Can we go back to the tab real quick?
Yeah, we're at the top.
Right. No, we're not.
The stream is a 2-minute lag, buddy. So you have to tell me what you have to tell me what we're looking at, and then I go before. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm at the top.
Yeah, we're at the top.
This is so hard, man. Okay, I'm just gonna scroll quietly, and then I'll just give feedback afterward. That's the only way this will make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, great job. I'll start with the things that I think, we can talk about, some of the things that I mentioned right off the bat. There's definitely a lot of goods. It's organized, check. The images quality, good. And, and I'm assuming you picked your best work, right? And the work looks great. So this is really good. Things that I really do look for, when I go in these portfolios and you are doing this, if you have a prototype, just lead with it. I always say, if you put that much work into doing it, just lead with it. So the fact that you have a button that I can just click on and just skip reading and scroll and just go straight to that's always good. But if you don't have a prototype and you are applying for a job as a designer, lead with some of the highest quality and the best image that you can find, which again is happening in this site. You go in there, you click on one of the link, and the first thing you see is a really nice high quality visual, and that's a amuse bush, right? That's I'm hungry, so I'm thinking of food, but that's a little appetizer to get you going and be wow, this looks great, now I want to find out more. I love that you have the links on the side so I can skip, overview, challenge, approach, the navigation links. These are always great. And it's just good UX in general, just being able to okay, I can click in there and just go to the next one. Again, the overview nicely done. You talk about the challenge, you talk about the solution, you talk about your role, and time and tools. Again, these are like it's there's nothing wrong with having them. Like I actually think it's great that you do, but it's not like a vital piece of information for me. But it's still nice that you have three. Three just looks better than one, so visually it's more balanced. So great overall, really great job on that. And one thing I would say specifically for like those of us like when you writing this solution or the challenge, like keep it short. And I think I'm sorry, as somebody that has a very difficult name to pronounce, I don't want to butcher your name, but I'm just gonna call you Y for now because I just don't want to get it wrong. But I think you did a fantastic job. Like with just the amount of information that you provide, it's short enough and sweet enough where I actually would read it, and then just keep moving on to find out more.
Yeah, I think honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I'll put this whether you're in Discord or YouTube, I'm gonna put this in the I'm going to put this in the YouTube link. And for those of you who are on YouTube, there is a 2-minute delay between what we're talking about live in Discord and what's actually being projected to you guys on YouTube. So I saw a comment about that. But what I want to, in Tonton, this is for us. I really think everybody, again, in our Discord, if you guys go to our the January 13th, I'll try to put this link in general later. But if you're on YouTube, you guys have this link. Check it out. Like I put this one first because this one is honestly, it's very well done from kind of all angles. Homepage, the case studies, and for those of you guys who are just watching, who haven't started a portfolio or even just came here today to get specific inputs on your portfolios, which we will hop into next. I just wanted to start with this to give you guys the concept of not only what Tonton was saying verbally, but to actually pair a website that has all those things. Like, this is, Yash V, this is in a very good place. I hope you are in a very good place. If not, we definitely need to talk because there is no reason you shouldn't be. So, Tonton, with the 40 minutes that we have left, I will give you the links one by one for the well, actually, let's see who's live with us right now, because I want to move into the individual pieces here, but this is going to be a little difficult going side by side and seeing who is here and then also going through the people who submitted. But I do see some familiar faces though. Let me see here.
And also one thing. Sorry, Brendan, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say one thing that I missed, like in the beginning. So I'm sorry, you had the phonetic spelling of your name, and I missed that. So Yashvi. So again, these little details. I think the first one that I look at, calm, was just you hit it on the nail in the head. However, when I went to Sheffield Classic, that home appliance, it got a little busy. In terms of like just the amount of information that you were giving in that specific case study, I would take a second look at that and see, is there anywhere where you can simplify it, right? Just because you don't have to give like everything away. Yes, you did a lot of work. There's a lot of UX involved, but that's kind of like a no-brainer. Like, so I would say like the calm one is just perfect. The length of it, the amount of information, like it's just there. So I would just use that as like your foundation for like the other ones. Like they look great, but I just think there could be some room for you could simplify them a bit more. So that was overall, that was my only other feedback on that one.
All right. So I am just going to open up the next 5 to 6 portfolios here. I'll give you those. I'll DM those links to you, Tonton. I will drive. And then when Tonton has to leave, we will continue here. But I just want to let you guys know that. So the first one we have, I believe Mary was here at some point, if she's not here. It's easier for us to do it as those who submitted first. That's what we'll go through, just because trying to figure out who's here and all that stuff. And plus you guys can't even text in the in this live thing that we're in Discord. The learning curve is strong, guys. All right, so this is our first one, Jaslin. It's a Figma file. So I believe this is a case study. First off.
Yeah. Are you showing it? Perfect. Yeah. What did you send me the link?
DMs in Discord.
Alright, perfect. Yeah. Learning curves. It's gonna get better. I say that with like not a lot of confidence in Brendan.
It's where I called you before this one. It's all good.
All right. I find the link. There's just too many things to navigate, man. Like I love simplicity. My life is simple. Don't make it complex. All right. So, I'm trying to stay back a little bit as much as I can, but I do work sometimes. So unlike Brendan, so like I have to go back to work. But I would try to stay back a little bit to give a little bit more time. And also feel free to reach out to me. I would just plug this in, and I'm always available. Like if you want to I didn't get a chance to get to your portfolio and you just want to pick my brain about something, reach out to me on Discord or Instagram. Well, I barely go in there, but just reach out to me wherever you could find me. And I'm really good at getting back to people within a year. I'm joking about the year thing. I will try to get back to you as fast as I can. But, okay. So, looking at the second one right now, just going to scroll to it real quick, get a sense for it, and... Awesome. Design looks really great. Like, it's just so clean. I love it. So one thing I would say, like, I don't know if you're in the thing. So were you like Brendan? Like, I'm gonna ask the question and then you can tell me if they answer on Discord or wherever we're getting into.
Sure.
So were you in a like a boot camp, like class or something when you did this project? Like you probably have it in there somewhere in the copy. I'm not reading. I didn't read it, so it's just easier to ask.
Yeah, just from the structure, I believe that she was. This is something that she is just working on. So, the context that she gave us is she doesn't have a portfolio yet, but she just finished this case study, and she just wanted us to give like some. This is the very first thing that she's produced, and so this is going to be an example of what she'll project into her other case studies. So she's just wondering, is this, have I set this up right? And for your first case study, just from a first glance, I think you've done very good. Good job, Mary. Yeah. But go ahead, Tonton.
Yeah. So again, it looks fantastic. It looks great, but I will say this. And the only reason I'm saying this is because, again, like the challenge with these bootcamp, I don't have any problem with bootcamp, and I think it's great to go in and sometimes that's like, you go in, you get the experience, it's great. But what I would say, to make yourself stand out from everyone else from the bootcamp, you want to set it up like, yeah, this is the first time you're setting it up, it's fine. But as you grow and as you continue, I would say revisit this, look at some of the other portfolio, find somebody that you consider like that has really great work, that's like a mentor, like look at somebody and then see how they set up theirs and then trying to get some inspiration from that. And the reason I'm saying that is like a lot of time, like when we review these portfolios, like, and then you get the sense of like, okay, this is from a bootcamp. Like the problem is like everyone in that bootcamp portfolio looks exactly the same. Right? And that's a challenge because then there's nothing that separates you from everyone else that took that class. But when you can just take what you've learned and then just be able to apply your own trace and spin into it, even though, yes, it was made from a bootcamp, which is nothing wrong with it, but then it makes you stand out because the goal of a portfolio is to stand out. But if everyone is applying for the same job and 3 of you came from the same bootcamp, that's 3 portfolio that looks identical. And then when we see that, it's like, oh, okay, it's one of those. And then I don't mean that in a bad way, but when you're seeing the same work over and over, like it just becomes like, okay, there's nothing that makes you stand out. But that being said, I think the work itself is amazing. Like it looks really good. And if this is your first case study, like you are already ahead of the game, because I will not show you my first work. I mean, I won't even show you a work that I did 2 years ago, just because it's like, eh. But like, but that said, I think like, overall, like, this looks fantastic. Definitely would be like, it does have that very structured, like, like bootcamp feel to it. And I think that's something you want to differentiate yourself from. Think about some of the feedback that I gave. And I think a lot of time too, like in this bootcamp, they always tell you like more. I would say do the opposite. Less is more. Like sometimes, right? Like your sketches, yes, they looks fantastic, they looks great, but they're not really adding anything to the overall, like on your portfolio. Like, yeah, you did sketches, that's great, but it doesn't really add anything to like to you as a designer. Like, because you can do sketch, you can do wireframe and all good, but these are like expected, like for you to be able to sketch something, for you to be able to do a wireframe. Like, you don't need to display all of them in your portfolio, and I think this is where you can start differentiating yourself from everyone else, and possibly remove the days. Like being able to do something in 10 days, like, is not always necessarily like a positive. Like, because you did it really fast, it can also come across as, well, you did it fast, so you didn't really spend a lot of time on like user research and user experience and these other things. So like it's like, so that would be my take on this. Overall, it looks fantastic, but I would say like, go back and look at some other people like that's been in the industry for a little bit longer, look at their portfolio, and we can send you some links of like great portfolios, and look at those case studies, and then trying to not copy someone else, right, but trying to mimic, like, do stand out a little bit from the rest of the people that you graduated with. But overall, looks really great, and that's really just my main feedback for this one. But good job, seriously, like really great job. And your prototype, I would say move it up, that like just move that button further up, like on that overview section. Just like, there's no reason for me to scroll all the way to the bottom to get to the prototype. If I could just click on, if an image is worth 1,000 words, then a prototype is worth like 1,000,000, right? Like, I'm gonna get to see the design in its fullness, and I get to click it, I get to interact with it, then it becomes alive, and it's no longer just the pictures on the screen, but it's alive, and that goes further. But yeah, great job, really great job, and I mean that, and like really truly mean that. Like, this looks fantastic.
Yeah, Mary, this is really good. And I think the only other thing that we've talked about this before, and those of you who have been, those of you who are new, this is an event that we do at least twice a month, and so we've seen some of your guys' work, and this is kind of the themes that we talk about are very consistent, right? And just for today, because this is a very good contextual piece that we had today from Yash V. We started with this because this is exactly everything that she hit, all the pointers, right? Especially with this launch prototype. Like, that is better than video, that is better than images. Being able to just jump into your prototype and see, like, did you build, or are you capable of building an experience? It will tell us enough of how competent you are in your skills. It will show us your thinking. It will show us your visual skills, your UX ability. So really good job. And every piece that we go through today, we will come back to Yash V's site and try to basically not conform you guys, but this is the best flow that we've seen thus far in all the portfolios that have been submitted. Try to get here. This is our kind of like our foundation bedrock that we're trying to, as we go through different portfolios, come back here, okay? But Mary, good job, and let's go on to the next one. Okay, again, Tonton, go ahead, go.
No, I was gonna say to kind of like tap into what you just said. Like when we say, like, use it as like a foundation, we don't mean like just do exactly what she did, yeah. Right? Because the challenge, the thing about your portfolio is that it's your portfolio, right? And this is your time to shine, and this is your time to also make something that reflects you. that portfolio, like Yashvi's portfolio, reflects her, like her personality, her style of design, her, like, but what we're talking about, like, is the case study themselves, like, the layout. You can do all that and still, but you don't want to just do it just for the sake of doing. You want to do something that reflects you as a designer. What type of work? Like, so another important thing is, like, on your portfolio, it is important to only put the work that you want to do more of, right? Don't put, like, apps if you like. I hate doing app, but it's the best work that I have, so I'm just gonna put it in there. And then you get a job to do app, and then you're just miserable. Like, put the best work that you want to do, but your portfolio should reflect you as an individual, as the type of work that you want to do. Like, so don't just, like, so look for examples, and look for things that you like, but just make sure that you bring some personality into your portfolio. It can be done to writing, it can be done to the visuals, it can be done to design. Like, there's just ways to do it, but you want to make sure you bring some personality. If you check out my own site, I'm not saying it's good, but, like, I do a lot of it where, like, I get very excited about things, and if you go on my website, within literally the first 5 seconds, you can kind of tell I'm screaming at you because I'm using big old type. So that just me, like, it just reflects who I am. Like, so that's something to keep in mind, right, as you go through this. Make sure that you bring you into your portfolio. Enough monologuing. I feel like a villain sometimes. I'm just like, like, monologuing my all right, Brendan, let's do this. All right, the link is in Discord. Silence. I'm just gonna call you S, because, again, I don't want to mispronounce your name. Okay, I'm just gonna pick the first one on each site that I go to, just because if it's the first, it must be your best, right? At least that's the way I think about it. Like, if whatever you putting first should probably be your best work. But then again, if it's in your portfolio, they all should be your best work, right? So, man, no video, it sucks, bro. All right. So I click on the float design system one, and then I just kind of go to it. So, like, my first piece of feedback is in that, like, just in that intro section, it's a little copy heavy. Like, I'm assuming you're not going for a copywriting position. You more like going for a design position. You can have copy, like, and it's good to have, like, more description, but I would probably look back and see if there's a way you don't have to remove all of the copy. Maybe you can just distribute them, like, differently or something. It just feels very heavy, like, it's just a lot of copy, and it most of the time, like, like, and don't take this the wrong way, but, like, 99% of the time, like, people are not gonna spend the time to read all that copy, but you still want to make sure you get the information, like, that you want to get across. So it might not even be that it's a lot of copy, it's just the way it's organized and just a one long block of thing. Like, again, we're gonna go back to that previous version, right, where she had the wall, she had, like, the problem and the solution. Like, it would just organize in a way where it didn't feel like a lot, even, like, so maybe that might just be something to look into, like, because when you have, like, black background and you have, like, gray text and the contrast, and then it just feels a little heavy on the copy department. Yeah.
Yeah, and to add on to that too, as you're going through it, as I scrolled through it really quick, the slivers, and I think Jaslin, you'll agree with me, it's very copy heavy overall. But just as we've gone through, we went through Yash V's, we went through Mary's. You can see the size of the imagery in both of them. Even Mary, even though there's some things that we you mentioned that there can be improved. The imagery was large. The sketches were large. Everything was large, and we can kind of see what's going on here. Where the main thing that we see here is the verbiage, all the words, and all of your work is very tiny. The visuals is what's going to sell us. And I think that honestly,
100%.
I mean, I think you tell me. I think that's probably like the biggest, like that's 80% of the value that we can give to this case study in particular. Like I feel like we hit everything else that you can include from Mary's and even what we talked about in Yashvi's. But I think if we just blow up some of these images here and you just re-watch this replay and you take a look at, or even look at the other portfolios that are in the January 13th and see how they display some of their work and how big it is. Take that and run with it, and then the next portfolio review we'll do another one. I'm very sure, like even your text blocks, they're not that big, right? It's just the fact that compared to the images that you have, the text is bigger and what our eyes go to before, because we can't extrapolate anything value wise from these tiny images.
Yeah, that's 100%. Because again, you have like all these really great details. I mean, you're building a design system, right? Which is like for people like me who like I get geeky about design system, but I can't really appreciate it because I can't see them. Like I can't click on it.
They have. I'm not sure if you clicked on it, but the project is live, and the project is actually crazy. Like this up front would have been gold because this is ridiculous. This is why we mentioned. Yeah, see, we had no idea. It's if you go all the way down under learnings, it's the link in green.
Too far.
That's up front, guys. Up front. This is huge. This is actually a very big undertaking. You have like the templates in here. I'm sure these are like directly in like Figma. Like this is amazing. Would this alone leading, like, I'm sure I didn't even understand the magnitude of the project until I clicked it. So please,
that's what I'm saying. Too far. The prototype, the link, like I get it. Like you don't want to kick people off your page immediately once they come, but at the same time, when this type of work when they live and the user can just go and experience it, like they'll come back. This is not an e-commerce site where once they go off, you worry about like conversion. They came to check your work. If they like it, they'll come back. So the link is too far. Like just bring it back up. Like literally have that be the second thing in that page. I would still say like some of the other stuff apply. I would still probably shrink down that copy. I would still probably add a little bit. But yeah, overall, like I just needing to appreciate that. Like that link would have just saved a lot of time because I would have just gone to it, look at this thing and be like, wow, this is amazing. All right, awesome. Great job.
Yeah, this is what we mean, guys. Like those three things or those few concepts that we talked about in the beginning. Like we're very quickly going to start going through these things, and you'll start to see some of the issues or not the issues, but the challenges of the majority of the portfolios is you guys have everything. It's just how it's designed. Are the images large enough to basically sell us on your capabilities? Like in this example, everything, just from the little reading that I did, all the text is right on. Images too small, and the biggest thing that would sell us is right here at the bottom. We opened it and I was like, holy shit, like holy cow, this is ridiculous. This is awesome. So again, as we go through each project, there will be a lot of repeated things, but we're going to try to Tonton has 18 more minutes, but I will spend as much time with I'll try to get through all the things if you guys have patience with us, or with me / us / me. Okay.
I'll try to stay a little bit. I'll try to stay a little bit longer, but not by long though, because
Yeah, and again by next week we will have ironed out the crisscross applesauce what we're doing here, and we were just worried. While I'm talking here, Tonton, I sent you the next link. Zobales or Zo. Wow, I'm reading the URL like I'm silly.
Yeah.
Zobales. I'm like, my bad, guys. My English. Okay. But yeah, thank you guys for your patience with just like us not knowing how the Discord / YouTube thing was going to work. But next week we'll iterate. It'll be better. So thank you. All right. So I'll let you take a peek first, and yeah, go ahead.
First of all, like, wow. This person has a background in biomedical research. I mean, talk about brain, right? Like, whoa, that's scary. Well, you know, great. Like, I'm actually kind of curious in that transition, but that's a conversation for another time. But okay, so like it goes without saying, right? Like I personally, I love simplicity. Sometimes less is more, even though I don't always achieve simplicity within my own work, but I strive for it every time. So I like how simple, like I just go on that page, it gives me a little bit about you, and then I go into the thing. Like you could do more if you wanted to, but you don't need to. Like it's just enough to get me to the part that I care about, which is the work. So great on that. And I click on your about page real quick because like you caught my attention with the whole biomedical research part. So of course I wanted to find out more, but let's dive into the case studies. Cheddar. Oh, sorry. Man, like I know you guys can't see my face, but I'm like genuinely excited about this. But I don't know if you can tell. Like I'm really.
We hear the excitement.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's coming across. All right. So the problem, the solution, got it. Overview, your wall, user interview. Yeah, I mean, I think like if you've been kind of like listening to us, like you probably kind of already have an idea where we're gonna go with the feedback. And again, we're not saying every site needs to look the same, and I want to stress that a lot. Like I'm not like these feedback are not saying like, oh, we should all just have like a copycat of each other, but there are like these are like some of the key things, and I think even in here, like at least we can click on the images, so there's a little bit of that. But in the beginning, again, I think there might be like especially in that section, the overview, the user interview, like the grid navigation, so the line, so two things here, right? From a UX perspective, so it's underlined, so I'm assuming I could click on those things thinking it's gonna go somewhere, but that's not the case. So maybe find another way to highlight these without using underline, because I think like that threw me off a bit. I just kind of wanted to see a little bit more visual in the beginning, but maybe it's just this specific app itself, like because I'm looking at the before, I'm looking at the after, and so in this particular one, like, so I usually love before and after, but because the differences are like so almost so minor that I probably would not put the before. Like, because then you have people because then it becomes a debate over like do I like the one with color better, or do I like the gray and white one, right? So I don't know if I would go with a before and after in this one. This is purely subjective, so take it as that. So this is not necessarily constructive, like in terms of like like this is just my opinion. Like I'm looking at the before and after on this one, and I don't know if the before and after is actually selling me on anything on this specific example, because the before looks pretty clean also, where the after also looks clean, but it's just not drastic enough where I would skip the before if this was me. Again, take it with a grain of salt. This is your portfolio. It's just a suggestion, purely subjective. You can do with it as you please. And then as I move down further the page, and I think like it's the same kind of like thing we talk about. I think the user interview and these are like expected things. And then if you want to have those, I think these could probably put further down the page. I don't think they're adding anything in terms of like the design itself. Yeah, I think the bigger images that you have on the bottom could have been. I would move those further up, like the grid redesign section where you zoom in into like showing like some of that more details, because this one needs that, right? Because at a glance, like it's black, it's monochromatic. You're looking at this thing, you're scrolling to it. It's just nothing. And I'm not saying, okay, the next thing I'm gonna say gonna sound mean, but I don't mean it in a bad way. It's just because the design, like it's this type of work, like it's an Excel sheet. It's boring. There's just nothing to it. There's not a lot of design decision being made. But where these things shines is the small details. And for me to be able to appreciate it, I need to be able to see the small details. And I think when you in the bottom where you're zooming in and showing those, these are like what I can appreciate. But before, like I scroll to this, there's just nothing stopping me because it's just an Excel sheet. But yeah, so that would be something that I would say, like, just really, like, you need to probably zoom in a little bit more. For something like this, I would probably also just use more markup to give it a little bit more pizzazz, right? Because it's just a rectangle on a like, it just needs something a little bit more. Maybe show it like, you gotta like spruce it up a little bit, use some markup, maybe have somebody like, it's a markup, somebody using it. Like, you just need a little bit something to sell it, but because by itself, it's just an Excel sheet, it's like designing a database. There's just nothing fun and exciting about it. And yeah, but again, I think in terms of like everything else we said does kind of apply to it. I want to click on one more just to be fair to you, and then just kind of like give it a second chance to look at another piece. I'm gonna click on this kind of give me a Notion vibe, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do the travel together one instead. Yeah, I mean, I like your style. Like, you like simple. It's clean. It's simple. It's nice. It's straight to the point. I just think, yeah. So the app, it's a lot of copy. Also, there's not a lot of visual, and I think like you don't have to have a lot to stretch it. Like, and I think that's another thing too about design. Like, sometimes on these portfolios, like all you really need is 3 pieces of like things, and then you can stretch those like to make it seems like a lot more than it is. You gotta use markups, you gotta zoom in places, you just have to find a way to kind of like make it look a lot more than it is, because as it stands it just feels empty, and I think you could just use a little bit more off in some of these pages. Brendan, anything to add? But again, overall, I love your portfolio. It's clean. I love the simplicity of it, and I think your style is all about being simple, which shows. But you just probably need to add a little bit. I'm gonna send you a link on YouTube of a company that does a really good job with simple, but they use way to make it look more fun when we're done. Brendan, anything to add while I look for that link? Uh-oh. Can you hear me, buddy?
Yeah, my bad. I was typing, so I muted my mic and then forgot I muted it. Sorry, guys.
Okay, because I was like, did I lose you there?
No, you guys didn't lose me. What's it called? So, really quick, Uzma. I'm gonna tackle a couple things. So, Uzma, I see you in the YouTube. You asked about if we're gonna review. I will have the time to review it, my friend. Yes, we're definitely gonna try. I'm going to try to get to everybody's portfolio today. So no worries. Just there's a lot. So be patient, please, or be patient with us. What's it called? Okay. So Zoe also asked. I want to kind of just end this for her. Here, she was asking, how can I improve my website and increase recruiter callbacks? Should I invest more or focus more on my homepage, case studies, or about page? And just to cap after everything we talked about, I think it's really, your homepage is clean. Your case studies, as Tonton talked about, it's really kind of just what we talked about, really for everybody's portfolio here. The imagery in the prototype, have that up front. Because you have some of your prototypes there, but it's also like at the bottom, and a lot of the boot camps teach that. So have that prototype up front or link to it so we can jump into that. And as Tonton said, like, try to pop up some of these things into mockups. I think that's honestly the 2 biggest things for you here are add some of your work into mockups. Go to uiux.net, I believe, or just type in UI8 into Google. Just for everybody watching, this is what I absolutely love to use for mockups. Yep, UI8.net. And they have tons of, if you go to browse, they have tons of mockups that you guys can use. Or you can just type up, Mac mockups for free on Google to stylize and bring the value of your work up rather than just screenshots. So imagery, bring that fidelity up, use mockups, and bring your prototype, again, up to the front. All the information you have text-wise is on point. Just make your imagery and sell your work just a little bit better versus the screenshots. All right.
And Brendan, I send you a link. If you could pull that up real quick.
Okay.
On YouTube, I want to show, an example, a really good example, in my opinion, of kind of what I was talking about. I know there's a delay, so you're gonna have to tell me when it's up.
Yo, it's up. I got you.
When the people on YouTube can see it.
Oh well, as you talk, as we go through as we talk, it shows up. It's just 2 minutes later, so it's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So so this example on the screen right here. So and Brendan will scroll. So this is what I was talking about. It's taking something where you didn't necessarily do a lot and then stretching it, to make it seems like a lot but fun. So as Brendan will scroll down, like in this specific example, that's what they did there, and it looks great, and you will look at it and be like, wow, that looks fantastic. But they didn't really do. There's not a lot of thing going on. Yes, obviously the videos helps and the movings of things help, but there's not a lot of things going on. It's the same screen just being repurposed in different ways, and then just adding colors and doing this thing to it, and it just looks fantastic. So this is kind of what I was talking about, whether you're using mockup, whether you use some sort of animation, but what they're doing, they're cheating. They're using like these bright colors in the background. But there's not a lot of things happening in this page necessarily. It's just using it's very minimal. They're just using as you can tell, it's almost the same screen over and over. It's just loading. It's not the same screen, but there's not a whole lot of things in there. But it's still.
All right.
Nice. But yeah, so take a look at that agency. It's one of my favorite agencies, other than Keto. But they do I love their case studies. If you look at it, you could probably see some inspiration from my own site from there. If I'm being honest, I definitely took some inspiration in terms of some of the transitions, the way they did things in here, and it's okay. I didn't completely rip them off, but I got inspired by them, and they do some really amazing work, and it's okay to do that. But yeah, so take a look at some of their case study, and then there's another one I can send to you too that they do really great job with their case studies, and these are the people that I look up to, because the difference is with these type of agencies is it's multiple heads coming together to get there. So yeah, so why not take advantage of all these people and then pick from them, pick the things they've done right and get inspiration. If you look at some of the transition that I do on my own site, you'll see the way things you'll see it. Anyway, I have time for maybe 1-2 more at a stretch.
Okay. All right, we will grab.
But before we do that, I just want to ask in the channel: has this been helpful? I know there has been some technical difficulty. You have not been able to see all faces, well, at least not mine. But has this at least been somewhat helpful? Because I'm also open to constructive feedback.
Yeah, and if you guys are looking to answer that, I have no idea why Discord does not allow chat in the actual stage thing. That makes no sense to me. But if you're watching on YouTube, which you probably are, if you're wanting this visually, we would love to have some of that feedback in the chat, so we can also put it up on screen and I can kind of read it out to those of you, or to Tonton, since I have him blind right now. But just for very quickly, Tonton, we got 3 people already saying super helpful. But I'm sure there's more messages coming. We've had, I appreciate you guys. There was a lot of work submitted. We only have an hour of Tonton's time, but the rest of you guys who are patient, we'll get through everything. But I think the biggest challenge maybe for everybody is the back and forth, but I think everybody is here on YouTube. Let me see. Okay, so our next one is, we have a Behance piece. I guess we are going to be taking a look at just plainly, and I think what's also beneficial here too is there are a couple dribble portfolios and Behance portfolios that we've had today. And if you can, all right, I've DM'd this one to you. If you could not only kind of discuss how you feel, this is a fire ass case study that I opened up the first one, but also how you feel about things like dribble and Behance.
Oh, don't get me started.
I don't know, man. This one submission is, this would look fire on a website, but this is pretty.
Oh no, I don't have a problem with Behance. I don't have a problem with Behance.
Oh, you got a problem with dribble?
No. I work for them, man. Don't.
All right, let me know when you have that open. I'm ready to scroll for you.
Yeah, appreciate that. I mean, I'm gonna click on the Airbnb one, but I would say major caveat here before I scroll, and this is not just a personal thing. Like, if you okay, so don't take this the wrong way, but here's the thing, that right. And as we review, like especially in my job, like like as people apply for work, we've seen a lot of portfolios and we've seen a lot of things. And a lot of the time, like when you see like redesign of major companies, that doesn't always necessarily be a positive things in terms of like your portfolio getting to the desk and it's a redesign of a major company. Because the problem with, especially if you're applying to be a UI UX designer, the challenge when you do a redesign of a major company, there are so much information that you cannot possibly be privy to be able to make like sound UX decision. Right, because before these companies make any changes, there's so much research that goes into it that when we see these things and you're applying to be a UI UX designer and it's just eye candy, which is, there's nothing wrong with eye candy, but if you are going to apply as a UX designer, be very, very careful of submitting portfolio with redesign of major companies. Spotify has been done so many times. We've seen Facebook. There's only been one case, I think, where like somebody redesigned Microsoft, but they spent 2 years doing that. And then at the end of it, they got a job at Microsoft because of how much time they spent in diving into the research to do it. So that said, it doesn't happen often. So just be mindful of that. Like when we see that, sometimes we're like, oh, it's another one of those. And it can be a bad thing if you're applying to be a UX designer. If it's purely in the UI side of things, then that's probably okay. It's eye candy. We're not going to look at it in terms of like the UX part of it, but just putting that out there. So again, this is helpful for you all to know. So I'm giving you insider, like, thing here. So yeah, but I'm going to go scroll through this real quick. And then one more thing, and I don't even know if I'm allowed to say, if you ever interview for Meta, part of the process, sometimes they will ask you, to pick an app on your phone and then just kind of like give them feedback on it. Don't pick Facebook. Don't pick anything they've done. Just saying. Moving on. Okay. I know this felt random, but trust me, it wasn't random. This is all about the whole redesigning major company stuff. It's a tricky thing. Overall, like, again, I'm just going to look at this purely from a UI perspective, not really so much on the UX part of things, just because of what I said earlier. There's just so much information you don't have to make UX decisions on these things. So I'm just going to look at it as like, it's eye candy. It looks fantastic. Like, It just looks great. Holy cow, dude. Like that from like the banner, like that hero banner, like, I probably wouldn't have planes going down like that. Just personal little things like that. Like maybe have them all going up, like but just little things like that to be mindful of. Like it just like it's just subconsciously we see that like it's not a good look. Just like you probably avoid planes next to like very tall buildings in New York. Like just little things like that can trigger things. But yeah, the plane going down would be the only thing I would move from that. And they're not really adding anything to that image personally. I think maybe one would have just been fine. And I'm getting into detail like UI now just because I'm like, I'm focusing, but it looks so good though. That illustration, the color, just pretty, pretty. I love it. It's so pretty. Um, okay, and then we scroll down. So okay, I'm nitpicking here, and just bear with me. So you established this style of illustrations, right, in that hero section, and it looks fantastic. And then we go to the section, to these other things, and I know it can be hard to find, like, if you're just finding illustration, I would probably find some illustration that's just a little bit simpler for that about UX, UI, and preview, just because that first illustration in the card is so simple and it has that very clean style. And if you were designing this for Airbnb, it would still be within the Airbnb like style guide-ish for the most part. So just keep that in mind. Just keeping like a style guide of your illustration, just making sure that they at least look similar. And I would simplify them a little bit. Moving on. Yeah, this looks so good. Yeah.
Oh, what?
I I mean, there's a lot of things to say in terms of like visually, from a UI perspective. This just look fantastic, man. It's like if you're applying for job to be a designer, like you look at like we're just looking purely based on skill set. Like, okay, this person, they know how to design, but obviously there's more to design than just making something looks pretty, which is where UX came in handy, and this is where it can set you apart from everyone else. But from a design perspective, yeah, this looks great. Again, some consistency with in terms of like the illustrations and like the colors. Not really sure why you're using the gradient in some places here when the red is the. Again, I'm nitpicking things here. Like, you establish the red as your main CTA, and then you introduce a gradient for the first time in some places, especially in the dark one. I don't know. Maybe that's something you can kind of like. You can probably defend it, and maybe that's something Airbnb already does. I don't know. Either way, I don't like it, but that's just subjective. But yeah, overall the UI looks I mean, seriously, dude. I mean, sorry, I keep saying dude, but like seriously, this looks great. I'm not gonna try to pronounce your name. I'm sorry. But yeah, this looks. Yeah, this is great. I wish I did.
I think this is a really good example for those of you who have very we say text heavy because the images just aren't larger than the text. For those of you who are looking for examples for how to create eye-catching case studies. The example of the calm redesign here, right? By Yashvi, this was excellent. And this was also a redesign as well. This was a redesign of the calm app. Same thing with, what we're looking at on Behance. This is, again, another redesign concept. But you can tell that the way that they're selling their problem-solving skills is visually, right? There's a reason we have commercials. There's a reason why the iPhone has like a showcase video for every time they have a new feature. Whether you're a UI specifically or a UX designer or both, or in the product design side, the better you can present the way you think, the better people understand, or the better you will look in other people's eyes. Like I don't even think there's no UX stuff here. This is purely UI stuff, and the only thing we can say is wow, right? That is as much time as hiring managers have to look at these portfolios. Sometimes if you can just design it to the point to where they don't even have to read, they're like, wow, we just need to talk to this person. That is also that's also a skill set. Now, I also know that you want us to take a look at your second project. We don't. I mean, it's up to you, Tonton, if you want to go and jump into one more portfolio, because I can personally go back and check this, but it's up to you.
Yeah, I have to jump, but I do wanna.
Sure.
I do wanna like. I think Clayton had asked a question on the chat that I want to get in that because it is absolutely important. So hear me when I say like the challenges with designing, because the thing is, when as you as your experienced designer, right, like one thing you learn real quick is that it's not about you, right? So we're and you can't, so three things, right? It's not about you. You will never be able to please everyone, and sometimes, well, that could be you. Like what you consider to be poorly designed might just be the right design for this specific solution. So you're never gonna be able to please everyone. It's not about you, and you let the data drive your design decisions. So these are the major three things, and that's why it's so tricky. Where, like, I mean, Apple is somebody that's like their stuff get redesigned all the time. Or like it's a lot easier when it's live for people to be like, wow, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? But trust me, like when I say like a lot of these companies, like it's the amount of time and money and effort they put into the research before they make certain decisions. Like it's ridiculous. Can they sometimes get it wrong? Of course. But so my hesitation with redesigning of major companies like the Spotify's of this world, the Airbnb and things like that, from a UX perspective, like you don't have enough information to make any design decision. Like whether it's something as simple, it might just be something that bug you, but by solving that, you can be like, it's more than just like, oh, this bugs me, let me change it. But it's like a domino effect. Because you change that one thing, it can affect like a lot of other things that you have no way of knowing because you don't have those data, right? So that would be the only that's like my hesitation on like this redesign. But when you're doing a redesign like this, like the one that we're just looking at, like the Airbnb, from a UI perspective, I mean, it looks amazing, right? But great design is more than just how it looks. Great design is how it functions. So it can look good, but if it doesn't work, does it matter? Like, right? And that's the philosophy. Like, I think like when we starting, like, I had that same problem. Like, we have to really be in that mindset. Like, like Craigslist is ugly as butt, right? But it works. like you know what I mean? Like and the thing is, like, sometimes like when you're in a position where you're the only one that offers a service, the user will adapt to your stupidity, right? Like it's just like Craigslist could completely be redesigned and be somewhat and look better, but would it function any better? I don't know, because it works for what it is. So that would be like, so that just my takeaway on like this type of redesign. Sometimes like great design is like, it's how it looks, but it's more important in how it functions. And great design is transparent and all these other cliche things you've heard all the time. And I will avoid quoting Steve Jobs for an hour and see how that goes. But that's my time. And honestly, it's been fantastic. I
Well, thank you, Tonton. Appreciate it, man. I don't want you to be late for your message, but again, want you guys to know that we're going to continue to go. We will probably audio from where? Give me a second, guys. Audio. Let me take a look here, guys. Just taking a quick peek. All right, so you guys should still have my audio. That should be fine. I will let you know, or let me know if you can't hear me. And who was it? Tonton that you guys couldn't hear? Oh, could not hear Tonton, can hear you. All right, perfect. Yeah, I think Tonton just basically said bye and rolled out. He has to go to another meeting. But basically, we're going to continue going here, guys. The latest I will go today is 5 p.m., which is we have 2 more hours. So I'm going to try to, because there's some people that are here and there's some people that are not. But now we're just going to continue to go down. We're going to continue to go down the line of the list of people that we have. So again, I want to say thank you so much for your patience. We were trying to figure out, should we do YouTube or Discord? Later today, I will probably honestly add a... Oh, I see. I transitioned and I didn't have the audio. Thank you, Matthew. That was it. I apologize. But basically what he was saying, thank you guys for letting me know. Basically at that point he had said, I'm about to be late for a meeting. You guys can, all his links for his Instagram and all his social medias are down in the description. And I can also link them here as well on YouTube. But basically, he was just saying thank you guys for your time. I hope it was valuable, and you guys can hang out with him on social, well, not hang out, but you guys can reach out to him on social media. But I apologize for the quick transition. I just wanted to make sure we had the full face on the transition, but you guys are just looking at me while I was quiet. Now I know. Okay, so moving back in, we are going to continue going through the rest of the portfolios. Thank you guys for those who are staying and for the patience, all the mix up in how we're really going to do this. Although I do want to do a poll just for those who are still on YouTube, and I will do one in Discord too. But I want to know, would you guys rather have these moving forward on YouTube or in Discord? Because the plan was actually to bring you guys up on stage, actually have a conversation, but a lot of that takes a lot of time. And some of these, since we're doing these kind of like, this is our first time doing it this way, there's still a lot that we have to learn. So I'd love to know, would you guys rather do this on YouTube? Because it seems like it's a lot easier format. There's not that much disruption. And also we can get through things more linearly. And then maybe, after this, after we get through everything, I would actually love to maybe have a back and forth with you guys in Discord. We'll figure it out, okay? But thank you guys for hanging out with us and just dealing with our V1 attempt of this. So I'm just typing in here. Okay. All right, so if you guys could vote on this, that would help tremendously. That way we know whether or not. Okay, so some of you guys say YouTube. All right, cool. All right, so let's do this. We're gonna go ahead and move back to our projects here. Okay, and I just wanted to say really quick, I kind of went through this one. I think this one is a lot more. I like this one a lot more. Reason being is because you have some of these, whoopsies. You have, I don't necessarily know what to call them, but you have the about the project. Why you're selling the product, which in doing so you're explaining the features. Where I don't feel like we saw much of this in the Airbnb one, but you talk about like how is the product used. There's funnel reports, there's retention reports. And you talk more about the features. What I like about your product or your case studies is you're selling almost the product that you made, so we understand like how it's used. Even though there's no prototype, I get a pretty good understanding of why someone would use this. And just overall, my friend, the design is just absolutely stunning. And like you market your stuff very well. I just also wish like what would take this like another level higher is again like a prototype, my friend. Like if someone could just click into that and be able to see and use visually what you made. But the way that you're presenting this stuff, like it's A1. I think maybe the few things that you maybe are missing are it, and I don't think it's against you. Like some people would be like, oh well, there's no UX things related in here, there's no nothing really about the users, whatnot. To me, it is, but it's just in a different way. You're talking about the features and how these features help solve the end user's problems. Oh, my bad. Thank you guys. See, there's so much. Like I have Discord open, I have the chat open, I have my screen open, and then like there's so much stuff to keep track of. So thank you. All right. But basically, I was taking a look at this project, my friend. I'll just say it again in short. Very good, very well done. You've the way that you've designed and marketed this and your solution is excellent. So 3 claps, 4 claps. All right. So up next we have Katarina. I know, Katarina, you have been waiting forever for us to take a look at your portfolio. But let's dive in really quick. I don't want I'll just take the functional ones. All right, let's see. So we are going to, hey, what's going on? I love Editor X. Glad to see you here, my friend. We are going to, so my name is Katarina. I'm a UI or user experience and user interface designer. From Ukraine. Living in Frederick, Maryland. I had no idea you were in Frederick. You are literally my neighbor. Like, you're here, Katarina. That's crazy. I had no idea. I don't think you have to, this is just nitpick stuff. You don't have to say, I would just say UI UX designer. Let's see, MTB Bank. I always have like a soft spot for these large, what's it call it? For those hover large animation pieces. All right, so we got a strong hero image. All right, we have the role tools, product duration, and I'm just going to read through this. I'm assuming this is like the overview. MT Bank is a commercial bank in the UK. The clients of the bank are legal entities, and individuals also have been worked with a narrow target segment. Also has been worked with a narrow target segment. Hold on. The clients of the bank are legal entities and individuals. Also have been... I'm a little lost in terms of what this says. Before the team started to work on new bank application for client banks. All right, something to do with the payment system instead. P2P. Includes card details and payment history, but the business wants to extend the capabilities of the mobile app. All right, so we're working on solutions for the mobile app. Okay, what I would say here is this is a lot to read through, and I also was like, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to get out of it reading it. So just like we have in, again, going back to our first piece here, the overview, having an overview section talking about having a title of what the challenge is and letting us know what the solution is. I would also pass your portfolio through like a plugin like Grammarly, like I have here, which saves my tail because I am the worst writer ever. So I highly recommend that you check this out. But I'm looking over in the chat really quick. Saral Kumar, it's 2 a.m. in India and I'm gonna bounce. We'll catch the recording of the stream to gain insights and provide on other portfolios and see if Brandon was able to review my portfolio. My friend, I'll try to get to it for sure. Got it, Katarina. You're working on the text part. Well, good job. Okay. So let's take a peek at, we have before and after. Yeah, definitely. I got you on the text part, but definitely make sure you have the spelling. All right, goals of the project. Yeah, exactly. These things got to be higher up. Okay. My role, prototype. These I would have probably right up here. All of this should be up there. Goals, solution, my role. Have this up here. All right, we have the prototype. See the prototype of the project. All right, just like what we said before, definitely have this up here. Even if it's like a call to action or a button that says view prototype, or even having the link like you had before. It is very easy for someone to see this call to action, click it, right, and start using the prototype. And this might give them all the answers that they need without even having to even go through the rest of your case study. So having this is key. You have your header, having the header there, and then just the overview, the challenge, and the solution. This right here solves so many problems, or answers so many, not problems, answers so many questions in regards to what is on a manager's mind. What is the project? What did the end product look like? How does it feel? How does it function? We can actually go through that via the prototype. If we see the challenge and solution, we can read it, right? And then after we've gone through it, we can be like, oh, that actually, that does work out, and they achieved it very well. So again, reiterating again that it's important to have up front the overview, what is the challenge, what was the solution, and having that prototype up front. Imagery though, I love that the text is large. I love that you have large images. That you've done right. All right, you got your style guide. All this stuff, very good. It's nice and large. Icons. All right, we got some dark theme in here too. Project overview and next project. All right, so basically kind of echoing what we've talked about pretty much for all the other portfolios. I love the fact that your images are big. You're good. Your text is big. Great. The only thing that you need to bring to the front so it's a little bit easier and we don't have to like guess what we're reading is bringing that overview, the project overview to the front, the challenge, the solution, and having that prototype up front. They'll save you tremendously. Other than that, just making sure you pass every single word through Grammarly, and you're good to go. I love the design of this. It's just how you're structuring the case study. Okay, so good job, Katarina. I know you've been working very hard on this, and also welcome neighbor. We're literally like not even 30 minutes away from one another. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful, and of course, like, if you have additional questions about this, please just message me in Discord or just ask specific questions after you've updated this. Ping us in the Discord, whether it's me or anybody else that you want to give you feedback on this. But excellent. Okay, let's jump to another one. I believe these were... All right, so I'm going to keep this up here. But you're not far from. You are probably like 75% of the way there. Just rearrange some things and you'll be 100. All right, let's see. But a lot of what we go through today, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be... You'll see, like we said in the beginning, there's going to be a lot of repeat when we go through these things. There was a good question in YouTube earlier, like what makes the portfolios stand out? Or not just stand out, but what makes a good portfolio? And it's the large images. Let us know what the challenge, the solution is, and let us be able to get access to that prototype. So those are the core things, and how you go about it is up to you, but you want those to be very strong, standout things in your case study. Okay. All right, let's see. So we went through Katarina's, going through the list here, guys. All right, next we have Britney Thomas. All right, let's take a look here. I'm gonna close some of these things. Okay. And also for those who are listening, if you guys are looking for, whether you're on Behance or Dribbble and you're wondering how do we make websites, like you're not fully there yet, you haven't really figured out where you want to build your website, I highly recommend you go to editorx.com. They are a no-code platform that is really just for designers to be able to build amazing things without any code. It's what we use in the Discord. It's what we talk about a lot tremendously for those who are new and seasoned in it. But it is a very good platform if you are starting to build out your portfolio from scratch, and you're just trying to get something. This is your first portfolio that you're building, and it's a short learning curve. Okay, hi, I'm Brittany, banker turned product designer, passionate about creating compelling digital experiences to empower people. All right, so we got I love the fact that you gave us, this is going to be really nice. I love that you gave your past, because there's skills. A lot of people don't really think about this. Where you're coming from, especially if you're transitioning, there's a lot of skills that you're bringing over into your role as a product designer. And especially if you have your featured project here, you made a project, or maybe you work at Citibank, right? You brought your banker skills. You now have into your product design role, and you're doing work with banks. So, yep, Citibank mobile app. That's how, like, for example, let's say you weren't hired just yet. Maybe you came out of boot camp. Maybe you just transitioned into these new skill sets, and you're like, okay, well, where do I go? Well, you have your banker background. You now have these product skills. Well, banks need help with product design, and here you go. You have your Citibank app feature, and even if you worked with them or not, I probably would. I love this. Okay, starting off with that hi-fi prototype. So we'll pop in there first. Highly recommend you make it a second tab. So when you click on it, you don't come off the website. Okay. Sophia. Yeah, but really nice job with actually having this as high up in your case study. Okay, role, team, tools, introduction. All right, goal. How might we create a new personal finance management feature that aligns seamlessly with the current Citibank app? All right, problem solution. Find useful features for personal finance management. Reconstruct the information architecture of current app while maintaining consistency of current design. Solution: create new bank tools that align with company brand. Develop smooth transition between new and existing screens. Okay. Again, the three things that we look for: problem, solution, hi-fi prototype. Excellent. Right up here. Let's see. The rest of the process, this is just additional stuff. Like everything after that is like cherry on top. But the fact that you have the prototype up top, you have your problem, you have your solution. I think the only other thing I would add is it's a nice thing that you have, again, the hi-fi prototype. I would highly recommend too, I love that you have to scroll to the top. I love that it's clean and that you have this mocked up. I feel like, just from the other things that we looked at today too, I really wish that there was also, I wish there was more color. Although I understand, and I'm not saying that's what you should do. I just wish, because there's something that makes me drool when there's just like a lot of color. There's a lot of, I wish, where's the Behance project that we were looking at earlier? Like, I wish it was more designed up like this. But not everybody has the time, resources or whatnot to do this. But from all the information that you need to be able to sell me on, are you able to do what you say you can do? You have it. You have the prototype. You have the problem solution set up for me, and you have everything else in your case study. Let's see, Zara, and I'm assuming these are, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Are these? Let's see. And I see Jaslin is still hitting the what's we call it, the chat in here. Awesome, thank you, Jaslin. Okay. I'm assuming these might be student projects, but you can correct me if I'm incorrect on that. Let's see. Reflections. All right. Okay, you have it as conceptual. Okay. Same thing with this one, even though it is a case study, I would say I love that you have some of this mocked up, but if you can step up the visual game just a little bit more, you have the visual game, right? But if you can start to bring it a little bit closer to something like this, right? This is the next level you would bring it up to, more color, more visual aesthetic, because like we've kind of said pretty much with everything you need word-wise you have in here, but can you dress it up just a little bit more? And especially with the Zara one, you know, one of the things that you can just add to here that you don't have is the prototype. I know you have these other things like the new UI versus the old UI, and you're pointing these things out, but a prototype would be much more valuable than the pointing out. But again, this is cherry on top sort of things. So Brittany, hopefully that was helpful. In a nutshell, your prototype on your first case study was excellent. You had the problem solution set up, beautiful. You had everything else that need to show everybody how you thought about the solution in the case study as well. Excellent job. I would just, more visuals. There's a lot of black and white here, and I know you're trying to keep it clean, but that actual visual presentation will help tremendously. Okay. And I think these were UI explorations. Okay, so you're just showcasing explorations. I honestly, I guess this is okay, but I wish I could like actually click into these. I'm assuming these are just screenshots. I would, even in your explorations, I would still have them like case studies, but only show the ones that you don't have to explain a lot, but at least talk through. Either don't have them at all, or kind of explain like you're thinking through them. I know that you might just be showcasing like your UI ability, but yeah. But yes, I think UIX tips also is an agreement. I really do love this thing here. I think that's really cool. But if you're showing these, I feel like there needs to be a little bit more, because I can't really click into them. They are a nice little aesthetic, but I wish I can jump into them. All right, Brittany, I hope that was of value. Can't wait to see the next version of it. All right, so we have Maria is next. All right, so let's see. I am going to upload my new case study soon. It would be great to hear about what is missing in the sense of feeling or professionalism, so that I can adopt this feedback in the next case study. All right, so let's take a look at. All right, we have your name, UI UX designer with experience in event and project management, nonprofit, and ed tech. Awesome. Through my work with education centers and volunteer organizations, I've learned how important it is to stay curious, engage, exchange knowledge, and play in a team. I would say either play as. I mean, this might be right English, but exchange knowledge and be a team player, something along that. I'm not sure if this makes sense. Let's see. And I'm assuming maybe these are like Instagram posts or LinkedIn posts. Don't really know what's going on there. So these are your recent activities. Let's go to your projects. So let's just talk about the homepage. So going back to our Yash V, right? She immediately starts off with, I'm an interdisciplinary product designer creating empowering experiences. So you kind of already have that, Maria. You have that. But the next section, if we go here, it's immediately her work, her stuff about her revisualization of Calm, the Share Field Classic, and Kokoro, all these different things. She gets immediately into her work. I would like to see the same with you, instead of your recent activities and then your LinkedIn posts. There's no value there because I almost didn't know if you had a project page. So I would highly recommend talk about who you are. Next section, get into your work, and then maybe after that you can get into your recent activities in your posts. But always want to lead with who you are in your work. All right, so let's jump into the projects. All right. So this is actually an entire section that I actually would have on the homepage as well, or maybe like your top 3. So let's look at Samsung Galaxy Buds. Okay. So you simply have, all right, prototype not found. Okay, so you have a screenshot and I don't see the prototype. So the two things are, I'm assuming this is all there is. Maybe there is a prototype, but you definitely want to get that prototype back in there. It's not a good look. You need to have both. But I love the design of this. It's really nice. But I would love to see more. Either explanation, right, of why you decided to do this. Is this a real project? Is this the concept? Even if it's a concept, that's fine. But talk through why you decided to take this upon yourself to build, and what you learned from it, etc. What you would do in a regular case study. What was the problem? What was the solution? This is your prototype of the solution and your thinking behind that. All right, Artem. There we go. Okay, problem statement, solution. I think you could take out possible solution. You just leave solution. User research. All right, you got your personas, ideation, user flows, prototyping, testing. Okay. All right. This is, I would lead with at least this being in your top of the line prototypes. That first one, it looked nice, but I didn't see anything. And I think that wait, hold on. Okay. I thought you guys were talking to me in the chat. I was worried. This was much better. The fact that you everything that you need in this case study, you have what is the problem, what is the solution. You go through all the cherries on top things like your user research, your user personas, all that good stuff. And just like we've been talking about here, your visuals are big. Another plus. You have your UI and brand elements in here, and you have your solution. And I love that it's a video. I wish that, again, I know this is a boot camp thing, but lead with this, guys. Lead with this. Have this at the top. I'm not sure if you know how to render a see-through background video so that you can place this literally right here. That would be beautiful. The fact that you could have Artem, a place where creative questions meet answers, having that video here that they can play and also be able to click a link that takes them to the prototype. Okay, that would be exactly what you want. But A+ for having everything in this case study, A+ for having beautiful imagery, A+ for having a prototype or the final product shown. The only thing I want you to do is bring that to the top. And literally, I'm going to move on to another case study here, or to another portfolio. But make sure you bring this visual to the top. This whole prototype walkthrough, bring it to the top. All right, good job. Okay, so that was Maria. Next we have Gia Jen. All right. UI UX designer, creative thinker. As a designer, my goal is to make the world a better place through design. I believe empathy is a powerful tactic for tackling problems, and I always create and maintain humanity for the people who I'm designing for. All right. Again, love this. Who you are, what you like to do, or what you do, and then straight into your projects. Beautiful. Welcome to my virtual museum. Oh snap! You got VR stuff. Okay. And then you have artwork. All right. So I would let me just dive into this. These sort of things I think this is cool, but it disfocuses me just a little bit. All right, let's check out what's going on at Google. AR mobile app, a better way to find your own lipstick. I love that. Okay, overview. Again, like we said, love it. Overview of responsibilities, team members, timeline, problem statement. I would love to see, I guess all this stuff is technically the solution. But I would love to see in the overview, instead of the team members and timeline highlighted, I would love to see like the overview, problem statement, and then the solution. But visuals on fire. All right, problem statement, COVID-19 was supercharged all things virtual, propelling industries like retail well into the future, according to IBM's 2020 U.S. Retail Index report. The pandemic has accelerated the shift to digital shopping by roughly 5 years. Throughout the pandemic, virtually try-on has offered a sweet sense of relief to fashion and beauty brands unable to demo their products offline. The try-on technology allows users to see how products look on them before purchase. Nonetheless, search for some color-related products are still always a problem for users. Love it. Okay, so we have the problem. Now, the solution is probably everything down below, but I would love to have like a summarized version of this. Really quick, going to the chat here. JT is saying, if my business is targeting a niche market and none of my competitors that I found showcase UI UX design in their portfolios, usually just showing an image link to their live sites and text info. Should I follow that standard or include what I would consider helpful to the potential client? So JT, that's a really good answer, a really good question. So for those of you guys who are wondering or rewatching this was JT's question. And there's no real right, or maybe there is a right answer. So I'll explain the reason why somebody kind of does the shorthand where maybe some of your competitors are just showing their end product and then having a link to the website. That's what you see with people who don't have much time. I have done the same, and I think some of the projects on my website are still that way because I have my clients. I don't really need to update my website because I'm already in I already have the relationships that I need to have. They know my work product and so on and so forth. So when you're looking at, you need to have that in our minds and understand that when we're looking at competitors, because if they are already if they already have the relationships that they need, they don't really need to work on their portfolio. They have everything that they need. Those who are outreaching and constantly trying to maybe gain new relationships and present themselves in a new way, that's when you'll see people actually, like, for everybody, all my friends who are getting wanting to set up for new jobs, they're having to recreate themselves. If I want a new type of clientele, I need to create either a new portfolio or recreate case studies that actually speak to that new type of clientele. So my question to you, or my answer for you is, do you have enough or what is your goal? Do you only have enough time to just put up just a photo of your end product and link to the final and link to the actual website, or do you have time to actually lay out your portfolio in a nice way that also presents yourself very nicely? So it's not like one answer is the end all be all, but it's about how much time you have, what is your goal, do you have the relationships that you need to bring in the income, things like that, or do you not have those things and you have to set yourself up for success, build it so that people have no doubt in their mind when they look at your portfolio that you're the answer to their problems. So if you're looking and you don't have the relationships, like, spend a lot of time making sure that when someone sees you, they see you as the solution that they're looking for. So that was a very big ramble, but hopefully that was beneficial. Okay. Project journey, research, user sessions. This is really well done. I think this is going to be same feedback pretty much that we've gone through all day. You have all the information that I would need, the cherries on top to understand like how you're thinking. Again, latest prototype, I would highly recommend that these are higher. And your learning's perfect. Regardless, you have everything that you would need in your portfolio. But what would help somebody, instead of having to scroll all the way down, is overview. What is the problem? What is the solution? And then immediately giving us what that final product solution looks like, and then all that cherry on top stuff. Okay? So the main things here, overview. What I care most about is problem statement, a solution statement, and then these puppies. Because all of this summarizes everything between here and here. So, and I'll leave it at that. Okay. So next, pasta. We have a Life WPR. All right. So let's take, ooh, this looks beautiful. All right, let's take a look at this. And JT is saying, my current clients don't fit my current targets. So that makes perfect sense. I might have to spend more time on my portfolio to reach a different client base. Exactly. So you have to spend a little bit more time making sure that what you're putting out represents what you want to come your way. So you have to basically rebrand in a sense. So spend time, put work into your portfolio so that you present in the way that you want people to understand you, if that makes sense. Okay. So we have Oko Cafe. Branding concept originating from Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. It means to highlight the complexity, care, and craft of the Asian specialty coffee value chain, whilst creating an experience that feels holistic and blissful. Every dish is carefully thought of and prepared with just the right amount of magic, with a renewed commitment to traceability and quality in every cup. Okay. That was a mouthful. Man, logo designers and just graphic design, like the way that you guys present your work is just awesome. And this is kind of, take notes, guys, take notes. The way that graphic designers, logo designers present their work is what we want to adopt as UI UX designers. Because we're data driven, we have a tendency, and there is a tendency to basically like write reports, data backed, all that stuff. But the fact that this portfolio in this case study is able to sell me just on, the logo design process, what that looked like, and how the brand actually comes to life through different examples. Image of a coffee shop, image of outside of a coffee shop with the logo inside of a light, an image. I don't even see the logo in here, but again, just the bringing the atmosphere of how someone should feel when thinking about this brand. It almost has a mood board feel, right? That's kind of what this is. So this is kind of what we need to keep in mind when we're doing really any design work. We're going to look at one more here. All right, so I want to look at this one. I'm going to see if your branding skills apply into some of your product work. So we have market redesigned. Product overview, beautiful, exactly what I want to see immediately. Okay. I wish there was a solution. Let me see. Market is a mobile application platform that allows retailers and small business owners to easily sell their products, such as fruits, vegetables, appliances, and many more to their business, or in many more to other businesses. The first step was to redesign and add dashboards for retailers to manage their inventory and track orders in order to help the businesses. Lord, man, the first reading today is not the first step was to redesign and add dashboards for retailers to manage their inventory and track orders in order to help the business make the app improve steadily by offering more services. All right, that was it's a little confusing, but all I get is the inventory and ability to track orders. Got it. I also, just like we've said before, I would highly recommend that there is a challenge or a problem and then the solution category. So we have that up front. Again, this is all the cherry on top stuff. Again, you have your visuals very large. Good job. Ooh, I loved it. Like, there is no doubt you're an amazing designer. I love the way that you're laying out your stuff. The only thing that I think that is missing here for me is being able to get my hands or my eyes on that prototype. But overall, you have, design-wise, you have it. It's good. You have all the, what is your user journey, usability tests, what are the pain points of the potential end user. The only thing I would add here is prototype. What is the problem? What is the solution? And kind of like clarify that for me so I can figure it out immediately. Okay. Yeah, Jamie brings up a good point here. I'm in graphic design, and I've been holding back on my designs because I thought it had to look more data driven. Yeah, it's crazy how we think about that stuff. We're like pushed to think about that stuff. Yes, we're data driven, but at the same time, like, I want you guys to think about how we buy anything, right? For every, whether it's you buy clothes, whether it's Nikes, whether it's an iPhone, there's always like a commercial or some sort of like hype reel that is shown to the consumers to buy into mentally the product, right? We all know, if you guys watch any like Apple conference, they have like, or even if you guys are into games, whatever, or anything, there's always like a product feature. and it comes with a video, and it's kind of like, it's well designed, it's well like animated, it's got like 3D in it and stuff. And then they start talking about the features, right? We have to bring the data, but we also need to make sure that the data is well designed and that we are able to communicate that we can do data related things, but we can also design really well. And again, this is what we talk about constantly with, are you a UI UX designer or a UX designer? But even if you're a UX designer, if you're a UX designer that can dress up your case studies better than just the UX designer that has just like typed up all their shit, you're probably going to get the job over just the UX designer that just wrote paragraphs, because of how visually appealing your case studies are, and just the fact that it looks beautiful. People are like, we need to call them, or get them in so we can actually talk to them, because you have successfully marketed your ability better than your competition. It's different. Another example is, you have two pieces of the same chocolate. One is in a regular cardboard box, or just like a busted Amazon box that, the same chocolate. And you have another piece of chocolate that's well wrapped. Let's say it's just Linden chocolate. It's got like that gold wrapper. It looks good, but it's two of the same chocolates. What would you probably prefer? I would prefer the nicely wrapped, well branded chocolate. And it's been studied that, and it's been known that if things look better, they taste better. Right? Same thing goes with portfolios. Even if it's data, if we make the data look better, if we design how we present ourselves, we look better than just if we give the data. So I want you guys to think about that. Okay. Moving on. But excellent stuff. But I think as we repeat these things, the theme is always bigger images, less text, have a prototype, have that prototype be up top. Make sure you have your problem solutions up top as well. And Jamie, I don't think you need to revamp a lot. I think what you have as a base is excellent. Just start to bring more of those design elements in, and make sure that you're able to complement it. So it's like a 50-50. You had a really good portfolio. And I'm glad to have kind of like taken out that myth of like, you just need to do the data. All right, let me see. Next we have Anka. I believe Anka messaged me earlier today. I think she wasn't going to be able to make it. But I do want to do a quick peek at what she has. Anka, front-end developer with background in psychology. That is to say, I got a social science degree and became a programmer. I love the sarcasm and jokes. All right, so we can get to her CV, who I am, okay, what you do. I dig that. I love to see like your stack, what I've built. All right, let's take a look at a live link, and this is kind of what JT was talking about, where and this is a little bit different with developers, right? All right, she's built this. Meetup, live link. And honestly, it will be hard for me to review this because, again, I have never been in the position to hire developers. All I can say is that the homepage is set up well. Who you are, you have a little bit of your background. I'll read this in just a moment. I get to see what you're capable of here, and then we get straight into your projects. And I actually get to, just from conversations that I've had with other devs or engineers, they want to see the GitHub repo. They want to see the live links to be able to actually go through the live project. And you have the ability for somebody to actually contact you. But I'm gonna call my ignorance card. I don't have the ability to be able to have that background knowledge of like what are the hiring managers that are devs going to be looking for. So I highly apologize. But from a design aesthetic, I don't. You have everything that is important here. I don't think there's anything crazy that you need to change. I think you have everything that is needed structurally. who you are, your tools, what you've built. The only other thing I will say is there's a lot of color going on. Do I have an issue with the color? Yeah, not really. I don't even think that's what's really important for developers anyway. It's just, can you build things? So again, I'm gonna pass on this one just because I'm not sure if I'm gonna be of value on this. But I'm just gonna, Anka, maybe we can talk about, or maybe I can even bring a dev on to, if there's a couple of you who are actually developers as well. Maybe I can get a dev on and actually have someone be able to talk to things like this. But hey, I see you went to Career Foundry. They have an amazing program. Excellent job. But I really have to say, for those of you guys who talk about, your previous work too, it's really good to see. Because sometimes some managers will look and be like, oh, well, they've only been a year as a developer or a designer. How, what skills can they bring to my organization? And let's say, I think it was, I forget, maybe it was Mary, or I forget what portfolio we were looking at. But they had talked about their past experience being a banker and how they have transitioned to a product designer. And especially if they're looking to work at, Wells Fargo, Citibank, or whatnot, it's very easy to see how her background knowledge will be able to set her up well as a product designer, because she's working at a bank, and being able to have that background knowledge actually takes a lot of time it takes a lot of time to get that business knowledge, where she would already have that, and she has the UI UX skills now to where she can apply both and be just very dangerous in that industry. So I like how she's leading with her background in social services and education, and how potentially her BA in psychology could be of value with her additional development skills. So again, I'm going to put this down for now because I can't really say too much about the dev things. All right, up next we have another Behance portfolio. All right, let's check the top pieces here. All right, so we have a UBA bank mobile app redesign. Let me take a peek here. All right, we got some of the colors, typography, home profile, dark. All right, so this is what I would say. I would kind of go to the drawing board on this. I would try to, how do I say? Let me look at another one really quickly. I will start with the positives. I like that you're showcasing and mocking up your projects, but I think what we're missing here is we don't really know anything about the project. And if we pull up, let's do Behance to Behance, right? So if we look at this previous Behance project, we know that this is a travel website. It's a concept design, and we get a little bit about it. So to discover unique homes, holiday rentals, beach cottages, and other types of other accommodations throughout the globe, all made available by Airbnb hosts. Okay, so we get a little bit of context. This is the only context we get, that it's a bank mobile app and it's mostly visual, right? Whereas this Behance project is mostly visual as well. But it has information about the product, the key tasks. There's a little bit about the persona. We have a little bit of the, shot of the wireframes. We don't really get any of that here. It's just immediately, this is a bank app. Here's the light version, the typography, the login, the pay, all that stuff, and the dark theme. I would try to spend a little bit of time looking at other portfolios showing or displaying bank type of bank projects, bank case studies, and see how they portray their stuff. I think you can spend a little bit more time with the design. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on like the design aesthetic side of things here. I think you can do without the red drop shadow. I think that's taking away. I feel like these are a little distracting here. I like that we can see a little bit more of the app here. But now we get a little bit smaller, and then these drop shadows again. Let's just keep it clean. And you know what also would be really good is if we could actually separate or isolate just showing the home page by itself, then the login by itself, so you can actually see side by side the light and dark and see it in full screen. The support page nice and large, the pay nice and large, rather than stacking them all together. Just have them one by one. And just, you know, pull out some of the distraction. I know these are nice little accents that you tried to add, but let's just, you did this really well. 1, 2, 3, we get to see what's on it. I think you should do the same with these pages as well. And I think you should lead with that versus starting with the light theme and then the dark theme. Start with what are the features of the app. You have the home page, you have the login page, you have the support page, the pay page, profile, transactions. Let's take a look at that, and then let's look at the dark and theme after that. Okay, and even better if you could, like we said, if there's a way for you to pop in a prototype in here, even better. So overall, and I think the rest of your prototypes or the rest of your case studies might be like this. Yes, adding more context. What is it that we're looking at? What is the problem? What were you trying to solve? What was the solution? If you were able to get a prototype in here, awesome. And then having just the structure of having all that up here, and then get into, okay, this is what makes the app. The home, having that first. The login, having that next. Maybe the pay, then the support, then the profile, then the transactions, rather than having it all clustered together, and then get into the typography, and then get into the light version, and then get into the dark version, so that we can start to see what was being solved as a whole at top, then getting into what are the small different features of the app, then getting into the smaller building blocks, the typography, the colors, the light version, the dark version. So excellent job. We will, and I think that will go across. If you apply that to all of your case studies across, you'll be in good shape. All right, let me count the rest of these. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. Holy cow, man. We're going to have to do a lot of these next week. All right. I think for the rest of these, I know, Jamie, there's a lot. All right, so what I'm going to do for the rest of these, because they are having, we have 1 hour left. I'm going to keep them in context. And if you guys have jumped in here, always, like if you jumped in here late, go back to the beginning of this video when we talking about what makes a good portfolio. It's good header image, a nice, well mocked up visual of what your end product looks like. What is the problem? What is the solution? Having a prototype up front, and everything else after that is cherry on top. Okay, so I love the fact with this beautiful upfront header image, nice little taste up front of what we're going to be getting into. Project overview. Nyam Sushi is a local restaurant that focuses on offering dishes like sushi, noodles, bowls prepared in the highest quality. The app allows users to read reviews about each food, and users can customize their own sushi rolls. It's a conceptual project for Google UX course. Perfect. All right, love that you're letting us know that it's conceptual, problem statement, business opportunities, project goals. Thank you for the pronunciation. All right, let's see. Deep dive into the problem. I interviewed 8 individuals who are either full-time students or employees between the ages of 18 and 40 with the questions. Okay. Insights, competitive analysis. All right. What I am happy to see is that all the images, yes. This is what I want to see up front. Yes. I'm happy it's there though. Okay, now let's see if there was a, trying to look to see if there's a prototype link. All right, what I have to say is I love everything like everything past this point is beautifully designed. Like the areas that need, I think, a little bit more love is, I love this little zombie thing here. This, and maybe a little bit of this, or maybe just more spacing. But very well done with your visuals, your design aesthetic of this. What I wish I saw earlier, because I basically got all that cherry on top stuff first, right? What I want to see first immediately is this problem statement, business opportunity, project goal. Probably around here where you can almost maybe have it underneath. I'd love to have the project opportunity, but after that I want the problem, solution, and then I want to be able to have access to what everything looks like. So after this project overview, I would literally find a way to stuff this. Maybe you can find a way to cut down the words just a little bit to explain what the problem is, business opportunity, and what the solution is, and then maybe jump into what some of the stuff actually looks like. Because I thought this was absolutely beautiful, and I got excited the further I got. When I got to this point, I got more excited. And if you have a prototype that you can stick probably around this area right here, if there was like a button you could put in here. I know this is Behance, but I believe there's a way to add a section in which you can place a prototype. Yeah, Jamie, the GIFs are a... You did an excellent freaking job with those GIFs. They are absolutely beautiful. Like, all of this is just so delicious. Like, I love the colors. I can tell you spend a lot of time on it. But we want these beautiful things. We want them up front, okay? Let me see if we can go back to... visual sell, like just like we talked about here before. Title, what this is, ability to launch the prototype. We get some visual candy here immediately. Challenge, solution, good day, and all the cherry on top. But still, we have like some visuals here. I don't know necessarily. We get that a little bit late in your portfolio, which is really, you know, what I think could help there is maybe just better designing these areas. Give these areas just a little bit more love, because I can tell that you gave everything after this a lot more love. You designed everything very well, and you know, these just kill it. So give some of those first sections a little bit more love so that it looks consistent with the rest of this, because I thought we were literally about to scroll into like a Microsoft PowerPoint sort of situation here. You did this section really well. This was awesome. I can tell that you spent a lot of time. Boom, boom. And then I was just like, and then this one was like, because it was just text heavy. So, and to answer, let's see. Nita, can someone teach me how to make GIFs? I want to add them, but I don't know how to make them. We might actually create, we'll have to do this in our Discord, guys. And if you guys aren't part of our Discord, the link is down in the description. And if it's not in the description, it's the first comment. Okay? We're trying to figure out what events or what things you guys want to learn in our Discord so we can create more events. Right now, we have our portfolio reviews, and we also have our UI challenges that are monthly. But there's other things like video editing that you guys really want to learn, how to make GIFs, all those things. Really amazing videos, mock-ups. Those are things that are really important. And I want to be able to just get to see how many people are involved in or want to be involved in, who are invested, so that we can actually create events like this. So excellent job. I think just design wise, clean these up, but also try to find ways that you can bring this up maybe maybe in the next section. Like you have a whole section related to this. This isn't super important to me because I'm going to figure all this out a little bit later. So maybe even making this smaller, less prominent, and maybe somehow trying to fit it in here. Maybe I think kind of like this, right? Project, industry, tool, and just like 1 to 2 words. And I know you don't have a 1 to 2 words with some of these things, but they don't have to be as prominent. The biggest thing here, project overview, and immediately I want to see problem, solution, and then a way for me to get in the prototype. And then if you just design this up just a little bit more, I think you'll be in good shape. So end all be all, tighten up some of those designs or some of those sections that look like they don't have much design. Bring up your solution or your problem solution a little bit further. And if you have a prototype, add that somewhere to the top. But other than that, like if you just have a consistent, well-designed case study, what you've done here is absolutely beautiful, my friend. So good job. Glad you stuck around. Okay, so on to the next one. We have right here, Danya. All right, I love this. I'm constantly aiming to combine my creative mindset with an understanding of analytics and development to create and ship products that solve problems simply. All right, sweet. So we have who she is, what she does, and we're getting straight. I hope these are projects. So I read Reed's story and I was like, oh boy, I hope these are not blog posts. Okay. And I love what you guys are doing with these. I know some of our other people like Allison have been trying to get these in their own projects, which it does help tremendously. It's not that big of a deal, but it is a nice little cherry on top that does help a little bit. So client project, it's a mobile app platform for one-on-one conversations between writers and readers. All right, problem, excellent. Focus, I would, if the focus is the solution, I would change it from focus to the word solution. We researched, designed, and delivered around our key objectives: accelerate user acquisition, increase brand visibility and retention, reduce the barrier to recruiting authors, especially older users, primary demographic. All right, yep, so instead of focus, have that as solution. Beautiful. You have 2 of the 3 things that I'm looking, or I think it's 3 of the 4 things that I'm looking for. No, 2 of the 3. We have the problem, we have the solution. We have a nice little video happening here, but I would love to have access to being able to dive into a prototype. All right, this is the cherry on top that we're always talking about, like the key insights, user interviews, feedback, wireframes. Style guide, final design. All right, let's see if there is a link to a prototype here. Love the fact that she's got some numbers here based on usability testing. We received the results below. Love this. This helps always kind of understand, all right, you did all this work. What exactly did you get out of it? 80% reduction in click error, increased user confidence from 30% to 60, grew app interaction by 3x. Beautiful. Fellow profiles. All right, so these are all the breakdowns of the. Got you. So this is also what we talked about a little bit on a few of the other portfolios, right? Where we have like all this cherry on top, all this thinking, how we got to the solution, and then the solution is like the last thing. This does help, so we can get to like the final design, right? We can get to the reflection. Or actually, I would add something. So we have the iterations. We have the final design. And even this doesn't really bring us to the final design. This is what I would consider the final design, where I'm seeing the fellow's profile here to the right, interactive audio call, what that looks like, rich onboarding experience, nice, and great. You have to view the portfolio. I think it's great here. I think also having at the top too would be absolutely amazing, because we get to jump into what you've built immediately after understanding the problem and solution. All right, my learnings, beautiful. Okay, so I'll leave you with that. great cherry on top information. I love the fact that you start off with a nice little video showcase of what this is. But I would also, instead of maybe leaving this to the next section, maybe having the problem in focus maybe right here, or maybe just leaving this clean like this and having that CTA of your the prototype, and then down here then we get into the problem and solution. But I love it. You have beautiful assets showcasing what you've built. You have a nice navigation for your project. I would definitely try to refine where these kind of go. Your final design kind of goes a little bit, it goes to accessibility when it should probably jump right here to the final design. Reflection. Okay, goes to the right place. All right, so you have the main things. You have the solution, you have the problem, you have the solution. You have the prototype, just needs to be moved. You have great process information, the cherry on top information, beautiful. But the main thing is that prototype. Bring it up top, and you can always have more than one call to action. Having this here is good too. All right, up next, I'm gonna do Gabriela. Ooh, this is gonna be spicy. Holy shit! All right. We open that. Let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Wow. You guys get some of you guys posted in here at like 2 p.m. All right. So I think we'll just keep going till 5. 5 is our cutoff. Okay. So this is Gabriela's portfolio, and I think the feedback that she would like is font style, sizes, readability, consistency, colors, project descriptions, what can be improved related to functionality and overall look. All right, so you want more so of a design aesthetic. Ooh, snaps. You on that next level. Okay. Yeah, I wish Tonton was able to see this, but from just overall, like let's start off just with the aesthetic, right? I think you kept it simple enough to where you don't need to, it's not difficult to say you have consistency of how you're trying to portray yourself. You don't go too crazy with doing too many fonts. You have about like, it seems 2-ish or 2-3-ish. Let's see. Doesn't really matter. So we have the Satoshi. I think you just have the Satoshi and then this one, because I think this is probably just Satoshi capitalized. And I'm just gonna go here instead. Yep. All right, let's take a look at the case study. Again, I love starting with the images showcasing from desktop, tablet to mobile. Starting off with the teamwork. Tools overview. All right. I will say this up front. This was a lot of images before we get down to the main thing here. This is about like 5 scrolls. This is kind of what I want to see, maybe right around, like if you started off your portfolio or this case study right here, the pine photos, and immediately after this had the problem solution and then maybe your teamwork. That would have been, because basically this is all photos and is about 5 scrolls, and I don't really know too much about the project other than this. So I would probably start the case study right here. Scroll, developer handoff on October 30th, 2022. I think you can maybe even have this a little bit smaller. Problem, solution, maybe your teamwork could be a little bit less emphasized. I guess they say that when you take a photo of something, you pass on the job of memory keeping. I'll be that for you. That's really nice. But I think all this stuff can come after this important thing, which is this: tools, overview, and scope. This needs to be way further up, and then you can have all that really nice imagery and other context that you have. All right, so we have process, research. All right, this is the cherry on top stuff. Good outcome. High fidelity design where users can easily navigate through an accessible and aesthetically pleasing interface. Okay. I would love to see the prototype, if any. I love the design aesthetic. I just think this needs to be way higher and everything else can follow. So literally what I just highlighted, pop that puppy right up here. Minimize this. This is not, this isn't anything too, nothing that those who need to hire you really need to worry about. Teamwork. This also doesn't need to be as prevalent. We can shrink that up. And all this stuff, it can just be as is, but this needs to be way higher up. So put this higher up, everything else can follow. If you have a prototype piece, put that in here, but the aesthetic is A1, beautiful job. Yeah, those are my main things. Pull the problem solution up higher. If you have a prototype link, add that there. Your other ways of your aesthetically pleasing showcasing of like what this project is about can follow the problem and solution, not before it. Hey, what's going on, Chris? It's good to see you, man. All right, so let me see. We have Gabrielle, but other than that, like, your design of your website is flawless. Let's just work on how your I know that was one particular case study, but if you take everything that I took and apply it to your other case studies, you'll be fine. All right, let's take a peek here. Is this a... All right, so I've seen some of these. It's kind of almost like a Notion-esque sort of thing. So self-taught user experience designer with an engineering background. I love storytelling and taking one day at a time. All right, currently at LiveSpace, handling the designer experience for interior designers. Love that. All right, check out my resume. Website is still a work in progress. Work, live class experience, B2B learning SaaS portal. All right, so these are his live pieces. All right, so we'll take a look at those. Miscellaneous photo stories, college projects. Okay, let's do, and let's see what they wrote. Hi, I've shared a portfolio, would love your feedback. All right. I wish there was a particular thing that you wanted feedback on so I could take a peek. But Gabriela, how do you feel about that feedback? Because I think your website is it's beautiful. Like, design is not a problem you have. Or not being able to design your aesthetic is amazing. You kept it simple, love your color palette. It's just the organization of what information goes first in your case study to be able to help the person who's like looking for that information, that important information, bringing it up for them so they don't have to scroll. Yeah. Okay. All right. Designing an e-commerce platform for... I am at a loss. So I guess this is the entire, like... Okay, so this is basically his... What is it called? What is the table of content for his entire project. All right, so this is a pretty standard case study. Again, we have the prototype. I want to say this too, because I've been seeing a lot more of these Notion-esque portfolios. And there's not a problem with them at all. It's usually it's kind of what I was talking about today when JT was asking about, like, some people just putting an image and then linking to the website that they've produced. There's a level of effort that some people put into their, like this requires a lot of effort too, don't get me wrong. It's just not one that I am used to. And I can also see that they work at a particular place. So if I were probably hiring, or this guy came, Mazrur. Okay. If Mazrur was an applicant to what I put out as a job posting, I would probably look at their prior experience, knowing that they're a digital or designer for handling the designer experience for interior designers. So he works for an interior design company as a product designer. I would probably get a feel or an understanding of like what problems he probably solves at that company, and then maybe try to find a project, especially if I'm also an interior design company. I would try to find a case study that is relevant to me to see how they solve that problem. But I'm already having like a very difficult, like I think this probably helps me out the most. I can probably look at their resume and kind of see where they're working to understand what kind of problems he solves on a day-to-day basis. 1, I get to see he's employed. 2, I get to see his resume. 3, I get to see what kind of problems his work or the job that he has now, what their product looks like. I can kind of get a grasp of maybe the problems that he solves on a day-to-day basis. But these other things like managing I don't want to have to go through all this. This is probably the easiest thing to kind of understand where he's at, and maybe I would have to have a conversation to really understand. I think he's worked on an e-commerce platform, but this is making me do a lot of the work. B2B e-learning. All right, so he's done a lot of e-learning, live class experience, teaching vocals. All right, about the project, problem statement, get to see the project here. All right, cool. All right. I wish there was a way to go back. Whew. All right, I'll click the back button. All right, just in general, this is very difficult. I think you do a good job explaining in short, or just at a text basis, giving all of the information you need to give somebody about your experience, which I think is great. However, it will be time consuming to understand specifically how you might be beneficial to me outside, if I was looking for somebody outside of e-commerce or outside of interior design. But if you're in either of those and you're applying to only those type of jobs, I think you are conveying enough that that's kind of what you specialize in, right? You're showing you're employed. You're showing like this is the type of work. This is what I work on. I work on this site. And by the way, I also work on e-learning platforms as well. So that I think is strong. Miscellaneous things, I guess you like to do other projects as well. And I think you have them outlined well too. I have a feeling you might not be dealing a lot with design. Well, not with design. You have an engineering background. And what I want to explain to everybody who's still here watching this, I see this a lot. This is not wrong at all. This is just not what I'm used to hiring and not what I'm used to seeing, but I'm seeing a lot of this, and I see a lot of this with people who are in the engineering field too. I think the only thing I can say is that in the things that I poked into, you have a great outline of your experience, what you worked on in those projects. I just don't want to take all the time to look through those things because it's not really well put together for me. And I don't want to say that in a bad way, because you do have it really well put together, and you took time to give a table of contents, and you have every single thing here. It's just not my cup of tea. So A+ for having everything, for displaying everything, for organizing everything, and having people understand who you are, what you do, where you work, and what specific specialty you have. So A+ all in that. It's just the way that it's displayed is a little foreign to me, but I know people who have excellent jobs, who get tons of money, who present themselves exactly like this. So, more power to you, my friend. I think the way that you organized all of this is great, and it works for now while your website is in progress, dude. So, good job there. All right, let me see. Should have brought some water, guys. I should have brought some water. All right, next piece. All right, we have a Figma link. Very nice. For the case study, we have our context. All right, case objective. The app can help its users to reach their potential by motivating them to develop healthy routines. Problem statement, beautiful. Our users find it difficult to acquire new habits in the course of their lives. 41% of Americans made New Year's resolutions. 9% feel they are successful in keeping them by the end of the year. All right. Okay, I wish there was a solution. Wait, I guess there was a solution piece. All right, so I know we have a lot of boot camps have the how might we sort of thing, but we want to frame this as the solution. Being able to motivate them to shape their routines, creating our application in a way that it would motivate them to, our end users, be able to motivate them to shape their routines with the new habits that they want to form. Let's see, okay. We finally get to see what routiner is. It's a little bit further down, though. I wish I got to see what routiner is up top here, on top of the Figma link. So, structure. What the app is, what is the problem, what is the solution, then getting into the cherries on top, right? This is your mood board, colors, look and feel. All right, this is, instead of first steps, I think this is when you're getting into, I actually don't know what this is. I assume this was a persona, but it might not be. I'm a little lost at what this is. I'm assuming this is Emma maybe talking to her significant other. Yeah, I would try to figure out how to express what's kind of going on here. I'm assuming it's a persona. What brings Emma the persona to routiner? I need more organization and structure in my life. How are we going to give that to her? Sketching out solutions. Okay. User flow, download, routiner, open app. All right, we got the simple stuff here. This is actually very difficult to read. Design solution. I would try to find another way to showcase this. Design principles. And the way to do that is I would try to find designs that you are attracted to, whether it be on Behance, Dribble, other case studies, and literally just maybe something that's close to your Dribble allows you to kind of look up designs based on colors. So I would look up, maybe find some case studies and see how people display their things. I think that would be helpful. All right, note for empathy, design principles. All right, I'm very confused about like how this is set up. Let's see, setting up an environment. Did she make it easy? External motivations. Okay, so basically all of this design principles. Yeah, I don't know what any of this is for. I would try to, all of us have some habits that we do without thinking, without conscious practice, for example. Okay, so all of that seems to go and be paired with a persona. So I'd have a section all about a persona. Who is Emma? What does she struggle with? Why does she, what is her goal? What is she lacking and unable? What does she not have to achieve her goal? And I think that is what you're trying to produce, or needs to be in that section. The design principles, note for empathy. Emma wants to form a new morning habit. Stretching in the morning. She seems to forget this every single morning and feels guilty. I'm not sure if this is design principles. I don't think it's design principles at all, but this seems very much persona related stuff, even this here. All right, home, no habits yet. First thing the user sees after onboarding. I designed the illustration and icons for the homepage, except for the illustrations with eggs. Okay. You don't necessarily need to mention this. I like how you break this down, but I'm a little lost here. First thing the user sees after onboarding. Home, no habits yet. I don't understand the no habits yet. Maybe instead of no habits yet, the area or building habits. The area to build habits, or the home is for building habits or selecting the routines that you want. All right, my friend. Eisener. I hope it's Eisener, but I'm sick of solving problems sometimes. You gotta do what you gotta do. I'm heading off right now. It's been so helpful, Brandon. Drink some water, though. I might take a quick pause to grab some water, but because my mouth is like, okay. Onboarding screen. We have 3 onboarding slides for the first user flow, but unlike many other apps, I would kill a lot of this text. This is a lot. It's almost giving me a lot of anxiety. Let's see. I'm not gonna just say that and run away. I'm gonna give you some examples of how you can pare it down. Okay. Scratch card design. All right, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about structure of case studies. We've talked about this pretty much for every project, but let's start here, okay? For who was this? Who sent this one? I think this was Spectral. I believe this was Spectral. Yeah, Spectral. Gizem. I think this was Gizem. Okay. So Gizem, if that's your name, the structure that we want for case studies is this. Okay, we want to have the name of the project, what the project or what that product is, the ability to check in and basically launch a prototype if you have one, a nice little hero image to give some nice aesthetic, and then we get into what is the challenge, what is the solution. This is a deeper dive into the challenge. Okay, we have the interface analysis. They're taking a look at what in the previous COM app, maybe what are some of the things that they want to tackle. So the inconsistent, clunky navigation, all that stuff. They talk about their approach, iterations they had, a deeper dive into their solution. Actually, I'm gonna give you an easier one. Let's see. Who had a... I think I like Britney's in terms of her structure. I think she had a really nice, simple structure, and it's very close to yours. All right. So we have the introduction, problem, solution. Again, up top, we had the prototype and a little bit of eye candy. We talk about the process. She goes into her research. Next, her market perspective. She goes into a persona. Information architecture. Then she goes into design. Okay, and the rest of the design honestly could just be the features, again, her prototype, and then she has her outcome. So again, there's a few things. I'll line them up again. Problem or overview, which includes problem and solution. as well as a link to prototype. 2, process. You might not even need that. 3, research. This is all the, who are your competitors? What have you learned about this particular industry, products like this in the space, whatnot. Defining the audience. That is where you put everything about your user personas. And with all that information, you're now building the product. You're building information. Oh man, let me write this out. Where's my Figma? Because I'm putting up fingers and I'm saying things and they're not correlating. So we have our overview, and I'll put this up to be a little bit bigger. All right, so we have our overview. We have our process, research, what's next? We want to have personas. Who's the user base? Information, architecture, and then the design. This could be wireframes, and hi-fi designs. Okay. So overview, what's in here? It's problem plus solution. Okay, so this would be the process for you. This is the breakdown of all case studies. Overview, process, research, personas, what is the user base, information architecture, what is the flow. So this could be sitemaps and user flows. And then the design. This is the wireframes and hi-fi, and then after this, you would have results, what you learned. Okay. So these would be. That's why I had so many fingers go up. I was like, there's more. It's probably about 7 sections. All right, so this is what you want to add into your projects. One more time, overview, process, research, personas, what's the user base, information architecture, sitemaps, and user flows, design, wireframes, hi-fi designs, results, and what you learned. So take this structure, that will take everything that you have and put it into this framework. Okay, I'll zoom in into it just one last time. Okay, that's what will help you tremendously. Your images are good, but this structure you need definitely, because I was getting lost. I didn't know what was going with what. It was very difficult. So I would say what would get you a lot further is just focus on the structure, and then we'll work on the next piece of your portfolio. Okay. So thank you for sharing your stuff, and I cannot wait to see the next rendition. All right, let me see. I think we can get like 2 more in here. Okay. That's cool. Got a little gradient in the text here. Got some light and dark going on. All right, we have Yenia. I hope I pronounce. Man, the words coming out of my mouth today is just not the best. Okay. Yenia. I mostly design UI UX design, or Lord, I mostly design UI UX for websites, but I like having fun with front end and SVG animations. I love what you've got going on here. I love rules, freedom, and making people laugh. Here you can take a look at my projects, and please don't be afraid to get in touch. I love the little gradient stuff that you have going on here. But yeah, I'm definitely going to check out the projects. All right, let's take out the first one. All right, I love the fact that you have the visit the website thing here. It's just it's basically the same amount, or it's basically like showing us a prototype. So I like that. So we get to see what you're working on here. It's live, very nice. All right, we got the problem statement. We got a nice little eye candy here. UX goals. Define best practices for multi-language, multi-country website. Develop a mega menu for advanced search. Improve user experience and findability consistently throughout the website. Define new project management. Redefine information architecture. You might want to check the spelling. Update design system with new UI. Okay, so these are deliverables, process. I love how you have your photography here. Solution. I would love to have this, even if it's in a short version, right? I would love to see, because you have the project, your role, the client. I would love to just see a quick like problem statement, solution, even if it's summarized, because deeper down you do dive a little bit deeper into them, right? You go into your UX goals in a more specific and concise way, or not concise, but a more thorough way. You go into your deliverables in a more thorough way, your process, and then your solution you go through thorough. But like this alone, like I think that you can put a little bit higher up. With a solid code design with stakeholders, we were able to iterate multiple times until we satisfied all requirements. We also kept an eye on usability and findability. We updated the website to the latest best practices. Outcome, very nice. We were able to deliver the MVP, like even this, right? We were able to deliver the MVP with the new information architecture, mega menu, in header and footer. The website is frequently updated with new features, usually managed directly by stakeholders. This means that there can be some alterations from the original layouts that are actually out of our control. Okay, and we have learnings. Beautiful. So you have that structure. It's excellent. I think the only thing, like honestly, this is a really good case study. It's very clean. You have everything. You have basically the equivalent of a prototype. You have a real built website, which is better than a prototype. I just wish that the problem and solution were kind of like together, because I do have to go through all of this just to get that other half, which is what I'm looking for here. And I love that everybody's using the glass nav. I love it. But yeah, this is really strong. You have a lot of white space. Excellent. Beautiful imagery. You have that prototype. You have a lot of context. I would just, and which is nitpicky, right? Like, honestly, you don't really need to have that solution be all the way up, but it's just helpful to be able to be like, all right, here's the actual project that she has. And here was the problem that, this client went to her with. This is the solution she gave, and now let me actually go look at the website. How did she achieve this? So that's what I would do. Just bring up just have a summarized version of the challenge and the solution somewhere up higher, and then throughout you already have like the longer version of your problem statement, and you have your longer version of the solution. But other than that, like I think this is like, if not 100%, it's 99%. I think what you have is excellent and honestly doesn't really need anything. This is good. So you have everything I would expect. Good job. You have everything. All right, let me go to got room for one more. Uno más. I feel like I missed some. Because we did Gabrielle. We did Spectral. Alright, we are on All My. Alright, I didn't miss any. Okay. Alright, Shria. Alright, let's scroll down. Okay, let's read this. I'm a self-taught product designer with a passion for creating beautiful and delightful experiences. Okay, so we got housing.com, locality insights, enhancing the user search experience by introducing new section on SERP pages. All right, let's see what's going on here. All right, so we have the challenge, solution, exactly, love that. Let's actually read this. The objective of the project was to educate their users about the locality in the area / city they are in / going to look for property. What's the important thing about real estate? Any realtor will tell you it's location, location, location. Believe it or not, the location of a home is the single most important factor to consider when looking for a new home. And a lot of people have no idea about the societies or localities. Solution: introducing locality insights on SERP pages of the product itself and revamping the existing neighborhood insights section on PDP to a locality guide. Love it. So now I have a total insight into what this whole product is for. How do we figure out the problem? I love this little diagram. All right, we're getting into kind of like the process and how we're thinking of things. Get into the wireframes. All right, final UI. All right, V1. JT says I'm so excited to work on working on my site after watching this live. I'm glad that this is pushing you. What's it call it? I'm glad this is inspirational. All right, let's see here. So they did a V2. All right, now I feel like it's okay. What I would like to see, because it starts to get very confusing around this-ish area. I think it's good to know like why it failed and what are the next steps. But then after that, where it's just like, okay, for version 2, we're starting to get into some iconography here, the avatars. We're doing a revamp of, the UI design. I think what would be beneficial here, let me see, is definitely a prototype would be highly beneficial, because you did, and I love the takeaway section. So design is iterative process. Iteration design allows designers to create and test ideas quickly. Those that show promise can be iterated rapidly and working in versions that help you see what is actually working and what is not working at all. Since it was my first job in corporate sector, I learned a lot of things about the process of a successful design ticket for assigning to review the final developed design before making it live. Whew. All right, I would definitely kind of go through and rewrite what this means. I know what you mean, right? You're basically saying this was my first time working in corporate. I learned a lot in terms of what goes into developing a website, in terms of the final development design, or the design review to development process. I think what also we would love to know in the takeaways is kind of the stuff that you put up a little bit further. which was why it failed. I almost thought this was like what you learned, the what you learned section, because only 2% call to action on or click-through rate on videos in 15 days of launch. It was very little, and it needed an urgent fix. So like, you in those takeaway areas, you want to talk about what you learned about your user, what worked product-wise, what didn't work product-wise, because that way people will understand, oh, if they come work on our product that is similar to this, they will be bringing these learnings there, and they will help our products get these results, versus you kind of just talking about like you learned about the process. You learned about the process of design to development review before the site goes live. Even though this is a great learning for you personally, people want to learn about what you learned about your user. So a couple things. Having those results that you have at the end, have some data about the user in there, not necessarily your particular learnings, about how things work in process. Your learnings about the user. And then on top of that, try if you have a prototype of this, you are set. Like, this was very well done from this point on all the way down to right about here. Okay, because after this, the scope, right? We decided to revamp the section of the SERP pages, and this time the locality guide sections will be on buy and rent PDP pages too, but things will go into development in phases. Okay, once we get into here, I don't really know. Let's see. The width of DWeb buy and rent were different in early versions, but in this version, it's going to be the same. In this version, as a map will be removed soon from rent. Like, I don't think you need any of this scope of V2. I think you just need these sections when you're talking about, you want to talk about overall challenge solution, what are the iterations you went through. So maybe you have different sections, like iteration 1, this was our goal. Iteration 2, this was our goal. And then after that, all right, this is what I would do. Okay, let's do it again. So you have your challenge, your solution, how you decided to figure out your problem, brainstorming the solution, then get into your different iterations. Iteration 1's goal was this. This is what happened, so we decided to do iteration 2. This was our goal. This is what happened. And then you go into your wireframes, and then your final design, and then your learnings, and that is it. Okay? And then with your final design, if you have a prototype that you can bring up to the top, even better. Okay. Woo! That was a lot, guys. I think there's still 10. There's still 19 left. But I want you guys to see this, okay? So I hope this was very valuable. If you guys stayed this entire time, you will have noticed a lot of repetitiveness. And even if you, let me just change my desktop here. Even if you guys did not yet get portfolio reviewed, the reason why we're sticking to these themes of, the flow of your portfolio, especially with case studies, going back to, I'm going to open up my Figma profile here, right? The 7 things you need is the overview of the project, problem and solution, your process. That process includes your research, personas, information, and information architecture, sitemaps and overflows, or user flows, your design, wireframes and hi-fi designs, results, what you learned about your user. About your user or solution. Problem, solution, prototype. Okay, So if you guys get nothing else but this from our call today or our live today, this is what you need to improve the structure, making sure you have those three main things up top: problem, solution, prototype. Your eye candy, or not your eye candy, but your cherry on top is all this stuff. This is your eye candy, and this is what you learned about your users or your solution. Okay? So that's what I want you guys to get from this. That is how you stack, or the best way to stack your narrative of your case study. But again, the first top thing, the most important things at the top are: what is this application that we're looking at? What is the problem? What is the solution? And show me your prototype. And I'm going to add I'm gonna add that. So what is the product? What is the problem? What is the solution? And prototype. These are the main four things that we're looking for. Okay. Then all of this is kind of just like nice, and it gets us a little bit of an insight into your brain and how you solve the problem. Then we get to see the design, wireframes, hi-fi designs, and then the results. All right. So but I'm trying to say profile. My brain is shot. Every portfolio is going to need somewhat of that structure, and if at the minimum, what is the product? What was the problem? What was the solution? In that prototype, that answers a hiring manager's. It gives us insight to really everything that we need. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that is it. I will end off with this. Okay. If you came through our Discord, which is this, all right, the rest of everybody else who pulled in a portfolio, which is basically, we had some people put in some things today at like 8 a.m. So we had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 7. We had 17 left. Those will be pushed to another time, and or when we have January 20th, but we already have people who have signed up for this. Okay, we have about, let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We did this one already. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we have 13. That one, the seats are kind of capped on that one. So like I wanted to say, every month we have 2 of these. We have 2 of these a month. So if we have not gotten to you, have no fear. But even if you come to these every month, I think you guys will get value, because the structure, what we go over, is pretty consistent, right? We want you guys to gain the structure and understanding of what should go in a portfolio, and that way you guys can understand the structure and be able to design it the way that you want. So with that said, guys, thank you so much for your time, your patience, and I will be asking a lot of your feedback today in our Discord. We do still have, I think there's 7 of you guys who are still chilling in the live event audience. What I'm gonna do is since there's really not that many of you, I think what we can do is we are gonna move to this general voice chat here. And we are going to just, if you guys want to come around and kind of chat, and I know we haven't really been able to talk voice to voice, but I think in the future we will be doing these design reviews or these portfolio reviews on YouTube, and then after the fact maybe coming into a small group and just discussing. But thank you guys for kind of sticking around, and this was our first time doing a live / Discord thing and really not knowing how it was going to work out. But we know next time, even from your guys voting, we want to do it YouTube next time. We had a great showing, and we'll do it that way. But I want to, JT, you can come. Everybody can come. But I want to let you guys know our Discord community, like if you guys are new here, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. This community is run by a lot of smart people, and I want to let you know whether or not you guys are started a portfolio or looking for a portfolio platform. I highly recommend you guys check out EditorX. It is a no-code platform specifically for designers. We focus a lot on this builder in our Discord as well. We have tons of people who specialize in it. I love the product as well. But it's really easy to use, and if you're looking for a website builder to allow you to build your portfolio a little bit faster, a little bit better, this is better than Webflow. So, and a lot easier to use too, and you get some really cool animations and whatnot. So, ladies and gentlemen, other than that, I highly recommend, if you continue to like what you had here today in a long format, highly recommend you join me and everybody else in the community every Wednesday at 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. EST in our events in our Discord. As you guys can see here, we have what is called Design and Chat. It's every week we join together, we meet new members of our community, and we talk everything design, no code, AI, freelance, business, and it's an open format. It's not like we did here. There's no muting. You guys, we're in a room. It's max 25 people. And we can actually turn on video and we can discuss with one another, and we kind of go through, hey, I'm having trouble with this technical stuff. Have you guys run into this issue? I need help with this. And it's just a family helping each other out. So if that's something you guys are interested in, you're in the right place in our Discord, and we hope to see you guys there. All right, guys. Other than that, I want to thank you guys for coming, and I can't wait for more events like this. Remember, these happen twice every month. Next week, we already are capped for the portfolio reviews, but again, I will be putting in the events for next month, so you guys can register in advance. Thank you guys for hanging out, and I will see you on the next one. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and I will see you in Discord. I'm jumping into the general chat so we can all hang out. And just for those who don't know where that is, I'll be hanging out, sharing my screen again. I'll be hanging out right here in this general voice. So I'll hang in there for about the next 20 minutes. So if you guys want to come and join, I'll end our event and we'll hop in general voice. All right, guys. See you later. And peace out. I'll see you in Discord. Bye.